Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Brickyard. We're down here at the Sound Running Invite down in Los Angeles. It's brought to you by the USATF Federation. I'm your host, Jeff Merrill, and I'm here with my booth mate, the King of Long Island, the Sultan of Swarthmore, Pete Davidson's second cousin once removed, recently retired Kyle Merber. Kyle.
I did not know that was going to be the introduction, but Jeff, great to be here with you. Great to be here with YouTube once again.
Thank you. Yeah, YouTube. Throwing out the big bucks just to have us here.
They did all this just for us.
Just for us. You should see the setup out here, guys. It's a beautiful evening. We got the mountains shrouded in mist right behind us. It's a beautiful 55 degrees.
Yeah, it's cold enough where I do need some hand warmers, but for a track meet, it's perfect.
Yeah, you've been spending a lot of time down here on the beach, so it's a good thing you had those hand warmers.
We've been hanging out here in sunny California and just getting ready for some more good old track and field.
That's right. We got a loaded slate of races today, so you won't want to get up for a snack at any point in the program. These are world-class matchups, and they've been made possible by viewers like you out there. Viewers like Morgan McDonald in there, dropping $5 into the prize purse in the super chat.
It's good to see it already before the meet even begins. Way before the meet even begins. We already have a few thousand people hanging out, chatting track and field, seeing who can donate the most money to these athletes.
Getting warmed up. It's good to see. I love to see it. And you all know that there's a prize purse on the line here, too. Winner take all in each of these 6 events that we have for this evening. And you can donate to it or add to it throughout the entire broadcast. It adds a little extra incentive for athletes to try for the win out there. And Kyle, nobody wants to walk away off the track with a rival waving some big bills in their face.
I know. I think that there's a whole movement right now between supporting our athletes. And this is the opportunity. This is where the fans can step up. If you see something that gets you excited about running and gets you out the door maybe tomorrow a little bit earlier with an extra pep in your step, you can do something about that to show how thankful you are.
That's right. Fans have the power now. You can throw into the pot and you can influence the kind of matchups that you want to see and reward your favorite athletes for big-time wins. Speaking of big-time wins here, let's get into these races here. Enough with the pleasantries. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, we got some fire races on the schedule tonight.
That's right. Let's see. Starting at 7:30 p.m., we've got the Bowerman Track Club Women's 1500. Kyle, how do you see that race shaping up?
Yeah, so that race, you go down the line, the list of names. Let's just say you recognize all of them because it's just star after star. Of course, up front, I think we should start with the Bowerman Track Club. It is titled after them, so that seems appropriate. But you have Elise Cranny in there showing a little bit of range after that recent 10K.
Yeah, she's on fire right now. Elise Cranny, 30:47. She's the 3rd fastest 10,000 meter runner of all time, and that was her debut. She'd never even heard of the distance before.
Yeah, well, she very quickly became familiar. And so, getting her in there, I think, is an exciting thing because you're going to have someone who we know is strong, not scared to necessarily get up there and make this an honest race. And she's someone who has the Olympic trial standard, but does not have the Olympic standard right now. And so that time of 4:04.2 is something that we're going to be eyeballing.
So she's run 4:05.8. That's her best time, and she's a known commodity in the 1500 too. That's what people had pegged her to be before she ran her world-beating 10K there.
Next up, I think that we should discuss Sinclair Johnson. Now, the pressure is off of Sinclair because she already has the standards out of the way. And so the question becomes, is she willing to step up and help her teammates get them? Or is she going to just sit back, relax, wait to that last 100 and try to take it?
That's an interesting dynamic that has been developing throughout this COVID period in 2020. The Red Lightning Express of the Bowerman Track Club has dialed in their pace train, and unselfishly, they give it all for their teammates, rabbiting them out so that their teammates who have the hot hand can have a big race when they need it. And then, in turn, they'll do it for their teammates.
Truly selfless. And then so I guess to continue that Bowerman Track Club contingency, we have Courtney Frericks, who is coming down from the steeplechase and going to show off a little bit of her flat talent. And I'm excited to see what she can do because she's run 4:07 before.
Last year.
And when you think what steeplechasers do, it's rare that they get the opportunity to get in a fast 1500 while in really great shape because normally they'd be in the steeplechase. And so this is a great opportunity for Courtney, probably one of the better fields that she's ever been in a 1500, and I think she's going to capitalize on it.
I think so too. And then you have a few other members of different teams mixing it up in there. One that I'm really curious to see get up against this field is Hannah Green of the Oregon Track Club.
Yeah, you know, Hannah, she's had a good season so far already. She has a couple wins to her name. She ran a 2:01 and a 4:29 already, and so having that already in her back pocket, those race legs ready to go. And she's someone who, you know, she ran the mile, she ran 4:29, but with a personal best of 1:58.1 in the 800, she's actually probably more suited for the 1500 in that quicker tempo.
I think so. She's got the leg speed, and she's got a lot of time, or she was doing a lot of training in this build-up. She didn't race in the summer, at least in 2020, so this is her first outdoor event in a long time. Moving down the list here, we have the East Coasters coming in.
Yeah, we do. So we have Emily Lipari from Adidas coming back after being out in Texas last weekend. And she is one who also needs the standards. She actually needs both. And, you know, when I consider Emily and kind of her position right now, is she's someone who can do both the 15 or the 5K. And now with the recent changes to the Olympic trial schedule, she may have to choose. And so this is a little bit of an audition for her. I know that she was a little bit disappointed about the way she raced last weekend, and she's been running the 1500 and the mile for a long, long time. It's a distance she's very comfortable with, and I would say is known for a blistering last 100. You definitely don't want her still in it, and you know, that late in the game. And so I think that this is a good opportunity for her to bounce back in her comfort zone and show that she's fit and ready to go.
It's always fun to see Emily Lipari roll down the final stretch with a full head of steam too.
Yeah, you know, Long Island zone. So
Long Island pride.
Some admitted bias there, which is something I'm never shy about, admitting my bias.
Straight from the king of Long Island himself, Kyle Merber. We got a few more athletes in here. Carissa Nelson of the Beast, and an interesting story on her. She ran the friendlies last year, the big friendly events that we had in Oregon.
Speaking of bias.
Oh yeah, right. Well, shout out to the home folks. Carissa Nelson said that she was learning to race more comfortably throughout those events because it was something that seemed a lot more intimate for her, and she could get in and just figure out how to move her way through the field and race instead of just gunning for times.
Yeah, I think that's something that has been an interesting dynamic of this past year, is having to get outside your, you know, comfort zone of being in the traditional stadium atmosphere. And, you know, the normal race plans are a little bit different in some of these smaller fields. Today, you know, we do have a normal size, but in the past year, you took the opportunities where they were. And it was an opportunity to work on some of your weaknesses and also to focus on yourself, try different things. And, you know, as we're here at this undisclosed location somewhere west of the Mississippi, it's a bit different because there's no fans really yelling. The athletes aren't allowed into the stadium until right before their race, essentially. And so there's some logistical things that require some getting used to. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say. And yeah, we can sit here on the side and hear each other talk just fine. The only thing that's it might interrupt at is the Megan Thee Stallion that's playing over the loudspeaker, I think.
No one's complaining about that.
No, nobody's complaining. We've also got Laura Galvan and Amanda Eccleston and Danielle Aragon in the race too, so they'll be mixing it up. And we don't want to gloss over this. You can add to the prize purse at any point throughout these races, and you can do that. Just scroll down to the description in the YouTube video, and you could see a link there, and that'll take you to adding to the prize purse. Or you could jump into the super chat, and something will be highlighted that you want everybody to see. Please stay polite.
Speaking of which, I do see that we just got a $49.99 contribution from the Beer Mile Media, and it went towards the Kyle Merber fan club, which is weird because this isn't my Venmo.
Really?
Yeah, no, this goes to the athletes that are actually still running.
Yeah, well, we'll figure out a way to get you that cash, Kyle.
So, so, you know, it's cool to see that so many people right now in the chat as I just pop in. We've got about 4,000 in there now, and money is rolling in. So, you know, if you want your name lit up like the Beer Mile Media.
Folks,
you can pony up.
Yeah, it's a good way for companies to get in there and get a shout out too. There's 4,000 people watching right now, but as we get through the program, there's going to be millions of viewers tuning in worldwide, which is going to be amazing to see.
If I don't see Ben Blankenship pop in and throw a couple dollars in here at one point, I'll be shocked.
He's a man of the people.
And that's a call out.
All right, moving on. We've got the Brooks Beast men's 1500 coming up next after the women's 1500, and this is a big time matchup, a prize fight in the rings. It's all going down here, ladies and gentlemen. Some big names. Kyle, who we got?
All right, well, first off, we should point that the standards are quite fast. And so the times we're looking at for the Olympic trials is 3:37.5. And then to get the actual Olympic standard, you're going to need 3:35.0, which for those counting at home, it's going to take about a 57.3 per lap.
57.3s, that's pretty fast.
I don't have that many of those in me.
Well,
Left anymore, you know. We've used most of those earlier in my life, but these guys have plenty left. And you know, you start once again at the title sponsor, the Brooks Beast, very well represented here.
Yeah, 4 athletes in the field, and they've thrown the gauntlet out there yesterday and saying that they want to make a sweep 1 through 4 in this field, which is a tall order, in my opinion.
They're calling their shot Babe Ruth style, but you know, they have done some very impressive time trials in the past. You know, I think many of their PRs were set in Seattle just a couple years ago when they rode the Josh Kerr train to victory.
They did, and that's a Josh Kerr is a marked man right now in this field. Although we have the likes of Nick Willis, a 2-time Olympic medalist, and Matthew Centrowitz, the reigning Olympic champion, everybody seems to be keying off of Josh Kerr because they know he likes to go from a long way out.
Yeah, so Josh, you know, he's not one to ever shy away from taking the pace, making it honest, letting everyone else ride the train and see if they can hang on for dear life. And traditionally, it's been pretty tough for people to hang on. And I think Josh, when we're looking at just the field, he's one of the guys who already has both of the times. And so the thing I'm interested to see is, does he still feel the need to do that? You know, similar to Sinclair in the women's race, he's all good.
We were talking about this beforehand, and he might want to take the lead because that might be the best hand he has to play in order to win this race, is to lead from a long way out. Because if he sits back a little bit, he's letting himself open against some of the savviest kickers of all time and savviest racers, Matthew Centrowitz and Nick Willis. And although we don't know exactly the kind of shape that Matt Centrowitz is in right now, he can do some damage.
Yeah, we were sitting poolside this morning, actually, and he was, I think, making up workouts for me to share on YouTube with the people. So it seems like he was keeping his cards close to the chest. But, you know, on the topic of the Brooks Beast, another guy that I'm looking to is Isaac Yorks, because unlike Josh, he doesn't have the Olympic standard, but he's also a guy who's not scared to get up front.
Didn't race at all in 2020 either, so he's somebody who's making a debut outdoors at least for the first time in a while.
Yeah, and then you have Henry Wynn, who, with a personal best of 3:51, we'd be remiss not to mention.
3:51 in the mile, that is.
Yeah. Good point. And then, you know, another guy that is getting a lot of hype from the Brooks Beast camp, and I think it's maybe coming from himself, is David Ribich. You know, he's speaking, or he's hoping to speak it into existence this weekend, because from what I've heard, he's in fantastic shape, and he's expecting that personal best to go down tonight.
I mean, never count out Sam Prakel, and never count out Vince Ciotti either. They had great seasons last year. I believe that Vince dropped his PR by over 3.5 seconds in 2020, and the guy doesn't like to lose. That's what his teammates tell me.
Well, that's like just the great thing about the 1500. As we go down the list, it's so much about who's hot on that given day. You know, you see these guys, and everyone's got really, really quick PRs, but it's about timing. And as we look towards this Olympic year, a lot of it will be not necessarily who is running best tonight in the middle of March, but who's going to be on fire when it matters most. But in order to do that, and for it to really matter once you are hopefully on fire, you need to knock off some times early in the season.
Right. Well, moving on here. Let's move on to the Run Local Women's 800. This is a good race. It's a smaller field, but it's a quality field that we have. Nia Akins is somebody that I'm looking at in this field.
Yeah, you know, Nia, the former Penn athlete, she was probably one of the athletes that in my opinion, really had the rug swept out beneath her feet with COVID and the pandemic, was probably very much prepared for a great NCAA season, both indoors and outdoors, and didn't necessarily get that opportunity to shine. She made the move. She was actually one of the first pro athletes of her class to announce where she was signing, and she joined the Brooks Beast. And as a two-time NCAA runner-up with a personal best of 2 flat, I think a lot of eyes are going to be on her, not only to maybe win this race, but to jump to that next level this season.
Yeah, and last year we saw her debut in the Brooks Beast uniform in a 600 meters at the bigger friendly. She ran 1:27 and just narrowly edged out Chanel Price. So we know she's a gamer, and that's what Danny Mackey says he likes about her too.
Next, Kendra Chambers is a 12-time All-American from the University of Texas. She's got a personal best of 2 flat, but it's a few years back. And, we were talking to her earlier, and she's fit, she's ready, she's feeling confident, and she was saying that she's ready to try a slightly different strategy, and I'm excited to see what that might be.
She said there's 5 different ways that you can run a race.
What are those 5 ways?
I don't know. She wouldn't tell me.
Take it out hard, take it out slow, take it out medium.
That's 3. She's keeping the other 2 in her back pocket. And filling out the field, we have Brooke Feldmeyer and then Mariella Real, too.
Yeah, so, I think this is a smaller field. We'll most likely see one of the athletes from the 1500 just about 24 minutes before, I guess after the race, they'll have 20 minutes to prepare and probably come in, double back, take them out. We have rumors of who it might be, but we don't want to put pressure on them just yet. We'll see how they feel after their own 1500. But this is an opportunity to have a really small field of quality, but it'll be easy to navigate and find the right position, because even if you're in last place, you're only a few meters back from the front.
It's a very good early season race scenario for the people involved, and more of a chance for each of them to step up and take a big portion of that prize purse this evening. And after the women's 800, we have the Jaybird men's 800 at 8:03, and this is also a smaller field, but also some very quality competitors in here.
Yeah, so to keep with the theme of letting everyone at home know what the standards are, the Olympic trial standard is 146.25, and the Olympic standard is 145.2. So we're looking at about 52.6 per lap, and there's one guy that I know is very much capable of doing that, and we're going to be paying close attention to him, and that's Drew Windle of the Brooks Beast with a personal best of 144.6.
A world silver medalist indoors, too, and this was back in 2018.
Yes.
Thank you, Kyle.
I got it. And so, Drew was on fire in 2017, 2018. He competed for the United States in London at the World Championships, but the last couple of years has been dealing with injuries, and that's an unfortunate part of the sport. But from what I understand, he's doing really well and has had a really successful training camp at altitude down in New Mexico. And so, I think he's one of those guys in the conversation. We've seen Bryce Hoppel and Donovan Brazier really consistently putting up unbelievable times here the last year and a half or so. And that third spot, who's in that conversation? Drew Windle's in that conversation. And we saw Isaiah Harris last weekend in Austin. Mm-hmm. We knew he was in the conversation. And, of course, we have Clayton Murphy as well, who you cannot forget about. And so, the 800, it's a lot of very good athletes. And if you make that team, I think you go to the Olympics with the intent of medaling.
The 800, one of the toughest events in the sport, and one of the hardest events to make it through the rounds, too, once you make it to the championship level. Drew Windle is going to be running up against a young buck here, Josh Hoey, who took a win last week in Austin.
Yeah. So Josh, first off, is going to have the comfort of having his brother as a rabbit. So talk about someone that you can trust. And he looked great last weekend in Austin. He's run 147 too, and he's run 147 a lot. And he actually did that in high school as the indoor national record, breaking Robbie Andrews' previous record. And so this is a guy who probably hasn't necessarily been in that many really fast 800s yet, especially for a younger guy like him, losing a year of your traditional racing schedule. What kind of growth did we see in that year? How much stronger is he going to be than maybe we remember? And I think this is maybe where he finally comes out and shows us that he's not just a 147 guy. That talent can bring him a whole lot faster.
Yeah, and I mean, he's just 21 years old, so he can do something special, and this is the stage to do it tonight.
I do think that if I mention this next guy, our chat might go a little crazy, but there's this dude in the race called Spencer Brown. You may know him as the Athlete Special. And we've been following his journey on YouTube for many, many years, and now he's running as a professional for the Brooks Beast. He has a personal best of 149.1. Now that he's surrounded by some of the best runners in the world on a day-to-day basis in training, what is that going to mean now that he steps on the track and it's time to race?
Could be fireworks. And then we have some loaded races in the women's and men's 5Ks here. The NAZ Elite Women's 5K and the Linden ×2 men's 5,000 meters. The women's race, it seems like everyone in the field is looking to hit the Olympic standard, but Ailish McColgan had a fantastic race in the 10,000 meters 2 weeks ago, the 10, where she took roughly 18 seconds off her personal best. She ran 30:58, and she's got a personal best in the 5K of 14:46.
So once again, we must mention the U.S. Olympic trial standard is 15:20 and the Olympic standard is 15:10, and that really puts in perspective just how fast Ailish's time is.
It's blazing fast, and that was an incredible race that happened right here in the Brickyard 2 weeks ago, and we're looking for the same kind of fireworks. But we've got some NAZ Elite Women in the field too, and then we have Winnie Kaladi who's in there who can mix things up. A lot of the Puma athletes, and Alicia Monson of OAC too, looking to make some moves. And I've been hearing big things from the Brooks Beast camp about Ali Bukowski.
That, this is a diverse field when you're looking at the sponsors and the people that are entered into this race. And two that I'm really looking at are Emily Sisson and Molly Huddle, two athletes who, maybe would have had to do a really quick turnaround after the marathon trials to get ready for the 5 or 10K at the track trials. And now they had an extra year to really focus on the track. And I think, we haven't seen either of them race on the track in a little bit, but you'd be crazy to ever count out Molly Huddle.
You would be. She's a 28-time national champion in the United States. And then the men's 5K too is a big-time showdown between the Red Lightning of the Bowerman Track Club, and then a couple boys coming in from the On Athletics Club, Ollie Hoare and Joe Klecker.
Yeah, in this race with the Olympic standard time of 13:10, is actually being billed as a sub-13 attempt now. The Olympic standard was 13:5. Had that wrong. But it was initially going to be paced for about 13:10. But Mark Scott, he has the times. He doesn't need a 13:13. Mark Scott is looking at sub-13, and his teammates who have been right with him all season are apparently going to go with him.
Mad Mark Scott, the madman from across the water, is on a tear this season, and he's won the 3,000 meters, 7:36, I believe, and the 10 in 27:10, so this is his third attempt this year. And now we have the 1,500-meter women on the line, and they're striding out and getting ready. We just want to make sure that everybody at home knows exactly what the Olympic standard means and what the Olympic trials standard means, too. The Olympic trials standard, Kyle.
The Olympic trial standard gets you to the Olympic trials.
Very simple.
And as you would expect, the Olympic standard gets you to the Olympics, but it's not so
It's not
clean.
cut and dry.
Yeah, so they will fill out the fields in both, and that goes off of rankings. The Olympic standard being a little bit more complicated, in which they're weighing your 5 best times across a number of variables. But, now that we have the women getting all lined up and ready to go here, I should run through the field real quick, I think.
Let's take a look.
So in lane 1, you have Elise Cranny, 2, Sinclair Johnson, 3, Courtney Fredericks, 4, Hannah Green, 5, Emily Lapari, 6, Laura Galvin, 7, Amanda Eccleston, 8, Carissa Nelson, 9, Danielle Aragon, and our rabbit is going to be Bailey Myers.
And the women are off. They're making their way down the back stretch.
So once again, this pace, they are looking at the Olympic standard time of 4:04.2, and that is 65.1 a lap.
And it looks like Bailey Myers is out front. She's the pacer for this race. And tucked right behind her, we have Elise Cranny and then Sinclair Johnson, the Bowerman Track Club women. And then behind her, the field.
Elise Cranny, the 12-time All-American from Stanford. She has a personal best in this event of 4:05.8, but she is looking for that Olympic standard. We were wondering if Sinclair Johnson was going to help her do this work tonight, as she already has that time, but it looks like the strength of Elise Cranny is going to carry the field behind her.
And Hannah Green, as we've said before, she's the tall athlete in the Oregon Track Club kit, the green top there. She's tucked in as well. And Amanda Eccleston, too. She's tucked in behind Sinclair Johnson. And you know Amanda Eccleston.
Amanda Eccleston is third behind the rabbit in the lime green top. She's got a personal best of 4:03.2. She actually was fourth place at the 2016 Olympic trials. She's a three-time Long Island Mile champion, and she's someone who every week this winter we've seen getting fitter and fitter.
Laura Galvan right behind Amanda Eccleston there, too.
Laura is coming off a victory at the Trials of Miles last weekend in Austin, where she ran 4:12. She's representing Hoka and Mexico. And, last week she came back after that 1500 and she ran the 5K in 15:28 just the next day.
We have to say that Bailey Myers of the Under Armour Dark Sky Club took the group through in 64 seconds through the quarter. And they're approaching 700 right now.
So as they hit in 155, 156, they're just a little bit off pace, which is fine. They're looking at about 153.9 would be Olympic standard pace. And we're expecting these girls get really competitive here later in the race. And I know that these ladies can close fast and make up that gap.
They're raring up. I mean, the racing doesn't really start until the rabbit steps off.
A couple years ago, Elise Cranny, she won the match, and she was able to do it in the last 50 meters. And as I watched every race that she runs, it seems that when she's in the lead, she does not give it up. She is very good at allocating her energy, knowing exactly how much she has left, and can wind up the race. And it's rare to see her ever not win once she's in first.
And she's in the lead right now with Sinclair Johnson right on her heels, and they came through in 66 seconds for that second quarter.
As the two of them are breaking away from the field, Sinclair is just staring at the back of Elise. They are fully making distance away from the field, as Laura Galvan is in third place with Danielle Aragon hot on her heels.
This is the bell lap here. They came through at 3:01, and we know the Olympic standard is 4:04.
Yeah, so, they have the ability here to close this gap. Again, perfect conditions right now. Being out front for Elise is, she's not fighting the elements. She's only fighting her teammates.
And Laura Galvan there, she's making a push back up to the two of them there. The Mexican national record holder has a best of 4:10. So this could be an incredible race for her as they charge down the backstretch. A third pack behind them.
Sinclair Johnson, 4:03 in the 1500 and 2 flat in 800. Apparently one of the fastest girls on the Bowerman squad when it comes to raw speed. So as they come with 150 meters to go, do not be shocked if she shows those wheels.
And Sinclair Johnson now swinging out onto the shoulder of her teammate Elise Cranny. And Elise Cranny, the 10,000 meter champion here in the 10, is being overtaken by her teammate. She's won an 800 this year at the Prickly Pear Invite, and now she's taken the lead. Elise Cranny not letting go, but Sinclair Johnson eases up at the line there, running roughly 4:06 for the 1500.
It looks like they're going to be just outside that standard that we were looking for. Sinclair Johnson pops up on the screen with a time of 4:05.91. So, unfortunately, not the Olympic standards that many in this field were hoping for, but you see in third, that's a big PR for Laura Galvan with a 4:08, so a couple seconds.
That's a new Mexican national record for Laura Galvan here at the Sound Running Invite. 4:05.91 for Sinclair Johnson. At Sinclair Johnson, 8 followers, following no one.
Amanda Eccleston there, I believe, was 5th place with a 4:10, so she continues to chip away at progress every single week. I think this was a good race for many of these women. I think something that we often fall into the trap of in this sport is if it's not a personal best, sometimes we don't think it's a good race, but it's much more than that. It's about how you competed, about the way you executed your race strategy, and I think that hopefully a lot of these ladies walk away happy.
Amanda Eccleston, too. Great to see her back. Go Blue. A member of the Michigan track team back in her heyday.
This is a long season for the professional athletes, and I think that it's a little bit different than the NCAA, where you have to be ready, for 3 NCAA championships throughout the year. for a lot of these athletes, they're looking very long-term. It's a big build-up leading into the peak of the season. And so for a lot of them, this is almost akin to a preseason. You know, there's obviously something on the line, but it's almost like you only have something to gain by running really well here. Your win-loss record in March is not going to affect whether or not you make the team come the summer.
Kyle, there's a lot of pride on the line here. The wins matter in this sport, and Sinclair Johnson has walked away with some cash, and you can put money into that prize purse too and increase what she's walking away with if you like that performance from her.
We do have to give a big shout out to Rabbit for their $100 donation to that purse. So they are our league leader tonight.
Rabbit, thank you very much. A big shout out. Next on the track, this is the prize fight, ladies and gentlemen. The Brooks Beast Men's 1500, obviously sponsored by Brooks Beast, and there are a lot of Brooks Beasts in the field. This is the return of the reigning Olympic champion in the 1500. He is the second longest reigning Olympic champion in the 1500 of all time, only to Sebastian Coe.
That is a fun fact.
5 years in running. And you know who told me that, Kyle?
Who told you that?
Matthew Centrowitz.
Senior? So, yeah, you know, obviously I think a lot of eyes are going to be on Centro, the 7-time United States champ, in addition to just being the Olympic champ. And he's got plenty of hardware to back up some unbelievable PRs, 3:30 for 1500 and 3:50 for the mile. But would you know it, he wouldn't have the best mile in the field. You know, you've got two 3:49 guys in here as well, so it speaks to the quality.
Tell us who they are, Kyle.
So you have Johnny Gregorek of ASICS, a personal favorite of mine as a former training partner. He's run 3:49.9, and then you also have another 3:49 guy, Nick Willis.
Nick Willis, the 2-time Olympic medalist. He won the silver medal in 2008 and the bronze medal in 2016 when Matthew Centrowitz won the gold. And he's on a 19-year streak of sub-4 miles. He's one of the most professional guys in the sport, and he's a gentleman out there.
Yeah,
so.
Now representing Tracksmith, I believe he turns 38 next month. And so, you know, Nick, he had run a 3:37 at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix earlier in the season, but was a disappointing 3:41 last week in Austin, and something that he was saying is that it's time to turn around, get some momentum back, and redeem himself here tonight. And when I'm looking at Nick, especially in a field of this size, as we have about 16 men, including the Rabbit, he's one to ride the rail. And late in the race, don't be shocked when a Nick Willis pops up on your inside pocket.
Yeah, Nick likes to stay as close to the inside as possible and run the shortest distance, and he always likes to say the inside always opens up down the stretch, so look for him to stay there.
Someone that I'm looking at tonight is Sam Prakel. He's got a 1500 best of 3:36.3 that he set at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. So he has the Olympic trial standard, but he does not yet have the Olympic standard. He is ranked 26th in the world, so if everything were to fall in place today and he finished third at the Olympic trials, he would go. But he's someone who, with a mile best of 3:50, we know is capable of a sub 3:35, and I think if the race sets up for it, he's a guy who we can expect to be in the conversation.
Kyle, 1500-meter runners are mischievous types. They keep things to themselves. They keep things close to the vest here, and then everybody thinks they have the right hand to play as it comes to the end of the race here.
Yeah, you know, you're not a 1500-meter runner if you don't think you have the best kick in the field. That's a classic trait. And, you know, I blame the high school system. Everyone was able to win their state championship with a blistering kick, and now they're pros and they think that they still have it. But, you know, I think that as we go down the line, a guy that we had spoken to in the pre-show that is getting a lot of hype behind the scenes is David Ribich.
Yes.
He has a personal best of 3:37.3. I know that he's really hoping that Josh Kerr makes this an honest one and that we can knock that time out. But you've got 4 Brooks Beasts in here. Do you think we're going to see some team tactics maybe?
I think so. I mean, they've been talking it up a lot lately. They've had a great training stint in Albuquerque, and they're looking to make some noise out here. I mean, we can see them huddling up in the corner over there. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw some team tactics taking place.
You know, it's something that you would see regularly in cycling, but is a bit more rare on the track. But, you know, I think these are a group of guys who are hungry to race. This is their opening of the 2021 season. From what I hear and from what I've seen on YouTube, these guys are in rip and roaring shape and are ready to go.
And you've got Amos Bartlesmeyer in there as well, with or teammates of Matt Centrowitz, so he's another BTC guy to look out for. And he's also rounding into good form.
Yeah, and you know, we did have one more beast in there that we didn't acknowledge, was our rabbit, Brandon Kidder. And you know, it's something that's so important in the 1500 is have a guy up front that you can trust, that you can shut your mind off and know that he's capable of bringing you through the time that you want to see, which for us today is going to be 57.3 a lap.
And the men are on the line right now, waiting for their instruction, and then the gun.
It's a full line, but thankfully this is a 1500, not a mile. You have plenty of room to find your spot and where you want to fit in.
And they're off, heading down the back stretch. Brandon Kidder on the outside. He looks to move to the front. That's Craig Nowak sliding in that white jersey. He trains with the Jacuzzi Boys out in Portland, Oregon.
And no surprise, immediately finding his spot behind Brandon Kidder is the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Kerr, the multiple-time NCAA champ out of New Mexico. He was 6th in the world in Doha and has a personal best of 3:32. So no pace is too hot for him.
The man from the north, Seattle's favorite Scotsman, coming in right on the shoulder of the rabbit. Oh,
right.
And Eric Avila swinging wide already.
Right now they're bunched up. They're looking maybe almost too comfortable as they come through in 44. You know, that's good for the guys up front, but for the guys in the back, they're going to be a little bit slower than they were hoping for. And you see him in second, or in lane 2 is Johnny Gregoric in the blue singlet now, probably looking to make up that lost time.
What does Johnny need to do as they come through in roughly 59 seconds here?
Yeah, you know, I think in the New Balance Grand Prix, we saw him hang back a little bit too much early in the race, and then last weekend in Austin, we saw him run really aggressive. I think for him, it's about finding that equilibrium, that middle ground, sit in the middle of the pack, and hopefully have something left the last lap.
Matthew Centrowitz Jr. sliding into that 4th position behind Vince Ciotti, the savviest tactician maybe of all time in the sport, coming in here. He won that Olympic gold medal running 3:50 from the front with a 50-second final quarter.
Centrowitz is a guy who runs big. You know, he takes up a lot of space. He's not afraid to move you around, and he's honestly annoying to run next to because he's so tactically sound. But he's the sort of guy that a lot of people are going to be keying off of.
Always looking very relaxed and smooth, too. He doesn't give you any tells when he's hurting.
Yeah, and, you know, right now he's staring at the back of Vince Ciotti, who had a 3:57 mile earlier this season, and therefore you know he's fit and ready to go, as we see Brandon Kidder just starting to swing a little bit wide as they approach the 900-meter mark, and now we're going to see if it's the Josh Kerr show tonight.
Could be the Josh Kerr show here, ladies and gentlemen. He's taken the lead. He's at the front. Vince Ciotti behind him. And that's Craig Nowak, too, right behind Matt Centrowitz. And then Isaac York's behind him. They're all strung out.
As they come through 1,000 and about 225 high, they're maybe a couple seconds off that 3:35 pace, but Josh Kerr does look like he's injected a lot of life into this pace as they're extremely strung out with a lap to go and just under 240.
You hear the bell there. The whole field is covering roughly 50 yards down the stretch, and the front 3 have separated themselves, but Josh Kerr really stepping on the gas here and taking command of this race. And that is a gap, ladies and gentlemen. Look at him fly down the back stretch.
And the guys that I'm looking at, you know, Centrowitz is now starting to respond, go around Vince, but Sam Prakel and Johnny Gregoric maybe missed that Josh Kerr move because they were a little bit too deep, and so they have life left in their legs, but the question is, do they have enough real estate?
This is not a subtle move. This is a big-time move, and now the lead is humongous as he comes into this final stretch here. And it's all Josh Kerr, ladies and gentlemen. He's gritting his teeth. The man from the north, from Scotland, now from Seattle, from the shores of Puget Sound, and he's flown by us, heading into this line here. And that's a 3:35. Calling off the dogs.
As we see the Bowerman Track Club athlete Amos Bartlesmeyer representing Germany closing hard in 3:38.5 to take second, and third from ASICS is Johnny Gregoric, and fourth is the vet Nick Willis.
The fans are going wild up in Seattle, Kyle. They're throwing fish to everybody in Pikes Place Market right now. It's salted mackerel on the table.
You know, I think that a lot of us were expecting Josh to do exactly what he did, and it was something that you and I were speaking about earlier in the day is, you know, it's almost predictable now. You know what he's going to do, but you can't do anything about it.
There was no answer from the field here. That was all Josh Kerr. I mean, as soon as the rabbit stepped off, he went to the front, and then, leading from the front, injected a move down there just shortly after the bell.
So we see Matt Centrowitz there in 8th place, 3:40 to open his season. Again, it's a very, very long year, and I think for a lot of these guys, this was a rust buster, and it's just something that you look to build off of now.
But you saw Matt Centrowitz get in there and really dig in, too, in that final lap. He was digging in for 2nd and 3rd place.
What that says to me is that something in training is going well enough to give him that confidence to get up there early and believe that he was able to stick with that hot pace. And so I think that bodes really well for the future.
But it's all Josh Kerr taking the prize purse here. And as we talked to him yesterday, he said he's taking all the boys out for a meal.
Yeah, I think that the boys are going to deserve it after what Josh just did. I mean, the ability to open up a season in 3:35, doing it the hard way, for me, that speaks to, world international talent. And I think that Josh is now entering that stratosphere where he's not just looking to make it out of the UK trials, which is super competitive. He's looking at the medal stand. Like, that's the next thing for him to accomplish in his career. And it's showing that if he can run 3:35 right now, that's a very likely possibility.
Right you are. Next up on the track, we have the Run Local Women's 800. And that is brought to us by Run Local. And we have some ad copy to read here, too, from for this race, Kyle.
Big thank you to all of our sponsors who are making this meet a possibility for these athletes to do, and for us to be able to bring it live to those at home. I think that we've got now over 7,000 people watching in the chat, and we need this sponsorship to make that happen.
Absolutely. And big thank you to all the viewers out there. As viewers like you, sponsors will flock to this and will help support the sport that you love because of your viewership. Run Local is stoked to support sound running and elite track and field athletes everywhere. That's a SoCal term, Kyle. You're from out east. You don't
I have no idea what that means.
Yeah. As a California-based event and apparel company, Run Local's mission is to support communities through the power of running. Learn more about the California Challenge and the Santa Barbara Half Marathon at www.runlocalevents.com. Santa Barbara Half Marathon, Kyle. Do you want to go run a half marathon in Santa Barbara?
I'd imagine that's a pretty beautiful scene to run 13.1 miles through. No.
Yeah. Oh, so you're coming out of retirement now?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm all good.
We'll go watch. Maybe we'll commentate there.
Yeah. Give me a golf cart at the front pack and I'll be happy. So now this women's 800 that's going to be up here in just a few minutes, we are looking at an Olympic trial standard of 202.5 and an Olympic standard of 159.5. I highlight the women's 800 as just one of the most competitive races in which the times that we're seeing really are quickly, breaking to a whole new level. It used to be if you broke 2, you're one of the best. And now to qualify for the Olympics, it requires a 159.5.
Yeah, the times are just getting crazy. They're dropping like bananas. And
so
gangbusters.
They are definitely dropping like gangbusters. And so, as we look at this field, one of the favorites would be Nia Atkins. Now, the 800, it is a tough race to open up your season with. Oftentimes it's a rhythm event. It requires a few to really get your legs under you. But Nia has a personal best of 2 flat .7. She set it in February of 2020. And I think the former Penn athlete is poised for a really big breakthrough year. It sounds like things are going well. And I think that she's had the last year to really adapt to a new training system, which is a process. It's not something that you step into a whole new workout regime and you're like ready to handle it. And so I think that she might actually have benefited from that past year.
I think so. And talking to Coach Danny Mackey, the skipper of the Beasts yesterday, he said that they recruited her specifically because they know she's a gamer.
That's a quality compliment. And so, just a bit about Nia. She was a 2-time NCAA runner-up, and she was 7th in the 2019 U.S. final. And, she's not from too far from here. She's from northern San Diego, which, again, we can't say exactly where we are, but that's a good stone's throw away.
We're in Los Angeles with all the bright lights and the glitz and glamour, Kyle.
I didn't know the difference.
Yeah, but yeah, Nia, very close to her hometown here, and she said she even worked out on her high school track leading up to this race too. So getting the hometown vibes.
Yeah.
We could see something special from her. But Brooke Feldmeyer too. She had a nice race in Austin last week at the Texas qualifier.
Yeah, she won her heat down at the Trials of Miles in 2:04. She was a 5-time All-American at Oregon. Her personal best is 2:01.5, but it's a few years old, and so I'm sure she's hungry to knock that out and get a new one to the name. And right now she's being coached by Terrence Mahone. She had to scratch the first couple of races of this year because of some minor injuries, but we saw her last week and she looked good, and I'd imagine that this weekend she's going to look even better.
Rounding into form, and as we see the list of the runners here on the screen, Susan Aneno has scratched, so there will be 4 competitors in this race and a surprise rabbit.
Also, we have Kendra Chambers from Wazelle, the former Longhorn. She actually is working with the Athlete Advisory Committee from USATF to help athletes like myself get jobs after competing, given a long career and a weird set of experiences.
Yeah.
So shout out to Kendra for the help on that.
Yeah, thank you, Kendra. Right now we're just giving Kyle instant oatmeal for what he's doing here on the broadcast.
That's one meal, just 2 to go. And so, she's an example of an athlete who is doing so much in addition to competing and working with the AAC. She also actually works as an administrative associate with the African and African Diaspora Department at her alma mater, UT. So it's really cool to see. And I mention that because a lot of these athletes are finding ways to be able to compete in track and field, and that's why we have this prize purse and the ability for fans to help contribute. So I know that chat has plenty of people at home who are really excited about this free stream. Don't hesitate to drop a couple bucks.
Hey, yeah, if you're a big time big spender, big donor, you got a lot of money lying around, maybe this is a good cause to support.
And then the athlete who rounds out the field is Mariela Real, representing Mexico. She has a personal best of 2:02.5, and I think a big career highlight for her was the opportunity to represent Mexico at the Pan Am Games in Lima in 2019, where she finished 7th.
5th all time on the Mexican list too. And the women are on the line right now.
So again, the times we're looking for, the Olympic mark is 1:59.5, and the Olympic trials mark within the United States is 2:02.5. So, we're going to be looking at a hair under 30 seconds at 200. Generally, the way that we like to run 800s in the biz is about a 2-second positive split. That's a very popular way of doing things. And to help them through probably the first 400 meters, immediately doubling back from the 1500 is Carissa Nelson of the Brooks Beast.
She's getting a good workout here. And the women are off now, and as you said, a 2-second positive split is nice, but there are many different ways to run this 800 meters. And maybe somebody wants to go Dave Waddle style and sneak in from the back. There's a prize purse on the line. This is early season 8.
So we're immediately looking to see who's going to be the one that's going to want to take the lead, and it looks like Kendra is going to immediately swing to the front and run with a level of confidence as, oh, never mind. It seems that...
that's Mariela Real up there.
And finally, the 1500 Rabbit gets to the front. Carissa Nelson is there, doing her duty, helping out teammate Nia Atkins. But in second place, or sitting just behind the Rabbit, is Mariela Real of Mexico.
And I'm really curious to see which way Kendra Chambers decides to run this 800 today, because there are 5 different ways that she could do this, as she said.
One way she's showing us right now is to sit just on the outside of Mariela, sitting on the shoulder, just as they come through 400 meters, just a hair under 60 seconds, she starts to move into the front as they are bunched up. But there's only 4 of them, so there's plenty of room to maneuver.
And we see that Nia Akins is monitoring the field from her position in the back spot there. They're all bunched up, and right now Kendra Chambers takes the lead, and she's making a big push down the backstretch, trying to gain some daylight.
Kendra Chambers with a 400-meter personal best of 52.7. You know that she can handle a hot pace. And she is just putting a couple meters behind her and the rest of the field as Nia now looks to quickly close that 600 meters in.
Nia coming right up on Kendra Chambers' shoulder. They came through the quarter in 59.66, and now it's left up to the racing as Nia Akins tries to swing wide, and Kendra Chambers is holding the line on the bricks here in the yard, and now it's Nia Akins that takes the lead. And Brooke Feldmeyer, not to be discounted, she's coming up on the outside trying to make a run for the finish here, but it's still Nia Akins holding her off. And it's Nia Akins in maybe a tick under 2:03, and another win for the Brooks Beasts of Seattle, Washington.
So officially it pops up on the clock. Nia Akins of the Brooks Beasts takes the win in 2:03.1. A small field, a very competitive race, an exciting final 100 meters as Brooke Feldmeyer bests her time from Austin last week, now finishing in 2:03.5 for second, and Kendra Chambers on 2:03.5 as well.
A very good showing for the Beasts tonight. They're all out of fish at Pike's Place Market right now. They've closed up shop, and the fryers are getting ready to go. People are partying right now.
So an exciting 800 for the ladies. You know, I think that as we are kind of in this in-between phase where we're supposed to be on the indoor circuit, but we're here outside, you know, I'm interested to see what opportunities pop up next. You know, I think that, Jeff, you might be the perfect person to tell everyone a little bit about what the professional track series is.
Thank you, Kyle. I am the perfect person. And I'll tell you about the Pro Track Series.
Okay, perfect.
So it's a group of existing track meets that have come together, beloved track meets such as the Sound Running, the Sunset Tour put on by Sound Running. We've got the Portland Track Festival put on by Portland Track, Music City in Nashville, the Ed Murphy meet in Memphis, and then we have a couple other meets too that might be joining the program as well. But they're circling together and trying to create opportunities for athletes to compete on a domestic level, which I think is pretty fantastic because there hasn't been an organization like this that has put together these types of things for U.S.-based athletes and for the fans here who want to experience that here in the United States.
Yeah, you know, as a former professional athlete myself, the ability to get in races is often the biggest roadblock to running faster. It's a lot easier to get in a race with a bunch of really fast people and get dragged to a good time, and you know, creating these opportunities domestically for American athletes to be able to compete against some of the very, very best in their own backyard not only saves money, but creates some really good opportunities to run fast. And I think that it's good to see so many people coming together with goodwill to help create this series and make races not only more accessible for the athletes, but also the fans.
And I think during this time, during this lockdown time too, meet directors have been getting very creative in how they're putting on races and how they're getting them to the public. And I personally think that the sport is growing and fandom is growing. And when the stadiums open up again, you're going to see fans packing the stands in the United States.
It's going to be like
meets.
the Roaring 20s, except instead of dancing, we're going to be track meets yelling.
Track's the drug we need right now, Kyle.
And so, you know, I think as we look now to the men on the track, as we get ready for the men's 800, maybe we acknowledge some of the sponsors who are making this one possible. And for
Absolutely.
The men's 800, that's the Jaybird men's 800 that we have on the line. Our journey to creating the perfect wireless sport headphones began with a need to feel free. Wires get in the way. Jaybird has also made sure that all of our winners tonight will walk away with some new headphones, and there's rumors that the commentators may as well.
I've heard those rumors too, because I don't have headphones in my ear yet, but I might at the end of this. And let me tell you something, Kyle, back on the subject of the Pro Track Series too. A lot of athletes like to go to Europe to race because that's where the big time races are. You've been to Europe, right?
I have been to Europe, yes.
It's all right.
Some parts are pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, but outside of that, I don't know.
The thing is, from a serious perspective, it's expensive to get over there, and it's not every athlete has the travel budget to be able to do that so easily. You know, it's standard to kind of post up in Leuven, Belgium for a few weeks and try to get into every race possible that you can, but it costs a lot of money. And, you know, Jeff, I just checked in on the chat. We've got a whole bunch of people who are contributing. Should I give them a shout out?
Shout them out.
All
Shout
right.
them to the world.
We got Kid in Hat. Gave us $20. We're not us, but the athletes.
Thank you.
We got Mario Friali, $50.
Oh, Mario Friali, thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Thank you. Ashley's Powers, $24.24. I don't know the exact significance of that, but we appreciate it. And so now as we look to the feed, we see the men's 800 and the athletes there.
We've got 3 minutes till go time here.
So let's run through them real quick. We have Drew Windle of the Brooks Beast, Josh Hoey of Golden Coast Adidas, Christian Harrison of Golden Coast Adidas, Luca Chatham of Tracksmith, Spencer Brown, a.k.a. the Athlete Special from the Brooks Beast, Peter Callahan representing Belgium, and then Olivier Desmoelles from Laval Uni.
Yeah, a Quebec gentleman out there.
I was nervous pronouncing that. How'd I do?
I think you did very well. I think it might be Demule. Is that it?
So
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll
You're
ask
from the
him
East
after.
Coast. You wouldn't know, Kyle.
Not that part. But, you know, the person that I have all my eyes on, the guy is Drew Windle, the former silver medalist at the World Indoor Championships just a couple years ago. He represented the United States at the World Championships in 2017. He has an 800-meter personal best of 144.6. And after some injuries here the last couple years, I'm excited to see him back on the track and to show that he still got it.
That's a big question mark on the line now. We want to see, has he returned to form? We know that he had some struggles last year in 2020, but this could be his year where he comes back. And then Peter Callahan, too. He's a famous kicker.
Yeah, Peter Callahan, the man out of Illinois/Belgium. He is a former rival of mine. He spent some time at Princeton, and he has a personal best of 148, but it's a few years old. He doesn't get many opportunities to race an 800, but he's run 337, 355, and he's got wheels.
He's got wheels. And the gun is up.
So the standard that we are looking at for the Olympic trials is 146.25, and the Olympic standard is 145.2.
And the men are off. You can see Drew Windle there in lane 4, and the Athletes Special, Spencer Brown, in lane 1.
All the way on the outside is our rabbit, Jonah Hoey, who is brother of Josh Hoey, the 147 man who won last weekend his race down in Austin at the Trials of Miles. And it looks like he's running with plenty of urgency, quickly getting behind his brother, a place that I'm sure he's been plenty of times, very comfortable to be behind a body that you recognize.
Absolutely. And the two of them are working in tandem up there out in the front.
And Olivier is right on them as Drew Windle just is spotting them a few meters back. It looks like the pace is honest. They look comfortably fast, which is where you want to be for 800 meters.
The Hoey boys are looking strong up front. And now Jonah comes through at about maybe 51, maybe a tad under.
Always great to have an 800-meter rabbit who's willing to go over 400 meters, and it looks like Jonah is more than capable of getting them to 450 as he steps off the track.
He steps off over the bricks in the brickyard here, and now it's Josh Hoey at the front, and Olivier right behind him, and then Drew Windle making a move down the backstretch. That is the 800-meter move. You want to make a move with 300 meters to go.
Drew Windle positioning himself perfectly on the shoulder of Josh. He's got that altitude training behind him, so aerobically he's feeling strong. He looks like he's staring at his back and just waiting to make that one final move. I think he has a bullet left in the chamber.
I wouldn't count out Olivier here, too, running right behind Drew Windle. And then Peter Callahan, too. We know he's a big-time kicker. But look here, it's Josh Hoey going to the arms, and Drew Windle drifting back just slightly. Hoey's extending himself as he gets toward the line here, and it looks like it'll be another 147 for Josh Hoey.
Josh Hoey, 147.72, so just outside his personal best. And for me, that quickly says that a big breakthrough is coming very, very soon. He's showing how consistently he's able to do this. And he's doing it out front, doing it the hard way. You get this guy in a race with some 144, 145s up front, and he's going to get dragged along and be competitive in those races.
Yeah, he's just waiting for the right opportunity. But today, he gets the win and a share of the prize purse, which is building as we speak.
Drew did not have that last 50 that we've seen before, but I have a lot of confidence that that's going to come back. You know, he is going to find that rhythm again as the season develops. He traditionally does have one of the best last 50s in the middle distance events, And a 148.6 is not a bad start at all.
This is the best result for him in a while. I believe he was right around 149 last year in 2020, running that at the friendlies. And a good start for Peter Callahan, too, 148.9 for a more of a 1,500 meter man.
Yeah, that sets him up well for later in the season as he looks to probably make a hard focus on the 1,500 and representing Belgium at the Olympics. So a strong race, competitive. I think the big takeaway, again, is just Josh Hoey's consistency. And that means a lot in the 800. And especially when you're looking towards the Olympic trials where there's 3 rounds. So you need to be able to do it day in and day out.
The 800 meter, because of how many rounds there are, it is a strength event. And people look past that. It takes a lot of endurance to make it through and to win an 800 meter medal on a world stage.
So now we see athletes striding out. What do we have up next?
Next up, we have the NAZ Elite Women's 5,000 meters. So this is the Hoka group out of Flagstaff in Northern Arizona. Northern Arizona Elite, maybe America's strongest marathoning group, and they're not too shabby on the track either. But before we do that, Kyle, we're going to show a film made on that group that is called A Time and a Place, and it was around their Olympic trials marathon build-up in 2020.
So this film was directed by Ryan Stern and Stephen Kirsch, following the whole build-up. Really, I would say a happy ending to it. And I think I haven't yet been able to see it, but I know Chris Chavez cries every time he's watched it. It's on replay over there in the Chavez household.
I cry every time I watch it too. It's a brilliant movie, and ladies and gentlemen, it'll be showing tomorrow too, for the 3rd time, to a limited viewership, and it'll be showing through Portland Track, so you can buy tickets in the description below, and please do so.
So, Jeff, I'm told that I get to step away for 1 second, and you're going to have a very special guest come?
That's right, Kyle. We're going to have you step away for a brief moment, or for the women's 5K.
I'll be back for the men.
Please do. Don't you go too far.
I get to go trackside and yell for the women.
Yeah. Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, in Kyle's place, we're going to bring in the Brooks Beast, Allie Ostrander.
Oh, hello there.
Allie, welcome to the show. Welcome to the meet. How are you doing?
Pretty well, yeah. It's been exciting to watch so far. Pretty, fast-paced meet. Boom, boom, boom. All my favorite events right in a row. So feeling good about it.
Good. So this women's 5K is a pretty loaded field that we have coming up here, and it aims to be a very exciting race. I'm really excited to watch it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of women on the line looking for that Olympic standard of 15:10.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some that may be able to go under 15 minutes in this race as well. What's your assessment of this field?
I mean, looking at the women in the field, I'd say there are very few that don't have the potential to go under 15. I know that the pace is at 15 minutes, and I could see a lot of these women dipping under that barrier. So, I mean, the conditions here are nearly ideal. Like, I could hardly think of a way to improve them. And the pace is set for 15, so I think we'll see a lot of fast times tonight.
I think so. Looking down the list here, I think one of the top contenders, and we saw her race 2 weeks ago, right on this track, right here in the Brickyard, is Ailish McColgan, and she ran 30:58 for 10,000 meters, and that was 1 second shy of her mom's best time, who coaches her, 30:57.
Yeah,
so
wow.
She's looking for she's already got her mom, or she's already beat her mom in the 5K, so I think she's looking to inch that down a little bit.
Why
but
even race it again then?
That's a very
What's
good
the
question.
point?
Yeah, she's out of book now, but she's run 14:46 in this event.
Yeah, she placed top 10 at Worlds, right?
In Doha, that's right.
Yeah. I remember watching her there. She's so tall. I'm really jealous.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got a lot of great qualities yourself.
Yeah, height isn't one of them, but yeah.
And then in this field, too, the former American record holder, Molly Huddle, 28-time national champion. and she's a hero of a lot of people in the running world. And we get to see her up close and personal here on the track. What do you look to see from Molly tonight?
I mean, she's definitely like a huge role model in the running community, I would say, and just so consistent on the track and the roads. I mean, that's how she's gotten 28 national titles. I could definitely see her pushing the pace once the pacer pulls out, and running a fast time for sure.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a brief pause from our commentary here with Ali Ostrander, and we're going to show you the A Time and a Place trailer made by Rabbit Wolf Creative and available to you tomorrow night, March 7th. Please enjoy this trailer. Take a look.
When people ask you what you did for 10 years that have no clue of running, usually the first question out of their mouth is, did you make the Olympic team? The Olympic trials marathon is probably a #1 goal for any serious marathoner.
That was A Time and a Place, ladies and gentlemen. Every running fan needs to see this movie. They dive inside the build-up, as we said, of the NAZ Elite team to the 2020 marathon trials, and you don't get to see that kind of footage anywhere, I would say. You get to experience each one of these individuals in their training and the personalities and skill sets that they bring to the table, and then the team group dynamic that Ben Rosario has built so well in that program. And we also have some news here. If you follow the A Time and a Place Instagram account right now, they're going to randomly select 5 people who follow tonight during this event, and you're going to get a free ticket to tomorrow's showing. And at the end of that showing tomorrow night, you don't want to miss it, I have a little chat with 3 of the athletes, Steph Bruce, Scott Smith, and Scott Fauble, and they're calling it the graveyard shift. That's what we like to call it. So, Ellie, have you seen that movie yet?
I have not seen the movie, but the trailer was enticing, and also the runners on NAZ Elite have been going off, like, the last 2 years. So, I mean, getting an inside look at that team would be awesome.
Absolutely, and it is. And let's take a look at the field here a little more for the NAZ Elite Women's 5,000 meters, aptly named. You can see them coming up on the screen here. We've got Emily Sisson in the field as well. And she's coming off of a half marathon in December in Valencia, where she came 1 second away from the American record, and that's Molly Huddle's American record, her training mate. So she's in very good shape now as well.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a power training group there. 2 of the strongest women's distance runners in the U.S. It's pretty awesome that they've lined up their training. It seems to be working very well for both of them.
Yeah, and as an up-and-comer yourself, you're a recent professional athlete here. What kinds of things did you look to in your heroes growing up, women who were in the sport? Things that you picked up that you could learn on the professional level here and try and implement?
I think one of the biggest things I noticed was the people that you train with was really important. Like I mentioned with Emily Sisson and Molly Huddle, just having a solid group, to support each other in workouts, but also just in taking on, the job that we do. It's pretty stressful mentally and physically, so to have people to lean on through that is so important.
And in this 5,000 meter race, 12 and a half laps, how would you personally approach this race? There's 3 miles, 3 beautiful chapters of this race.
Or 5 chapters if you go by Ks.
Yeah, for our international viewers out there.
Yes. Well, usually with the 5K, my goal is to just stay relaxed as long as possible, Usually there's a pacer through 3K.
And the women are stepping to the line now.
And now they're stepping away.
And it appears that somebody may have dropped their keys on the starting line. They picked them up.
They're standing a few feet from the line,
And they're stepping up to the line.
maybe for the last time.
And they're off. That's the gun. We see Amanda Eccleston out there too, and she's jumping to the front. She's doubling back from the 1500, and I think she's going to take some pacing duties. That's Ailish McColgan there in the blue on the inside. And like we said before, she ran 30:58 right here in the Brickyard 2 weeks ago. And she's looking to hopefully take this one here.
Yeah, definitely someone that you would expect to see up in the front.
She's a tall individual, as you noted.
Yeah, and I realized when I said that, I did say that commentators shouldn't talk about bodies, so I probably just shouldn't. I'm just so jealous, you know? Something that I've always wanted.
It was a good-natured compliment.
But yeah, in 7th place is my teammate, Allie Buhalski. And I just got to say that I think we can expect a pretty big race from her tonight. She is in incredible shape if her workouts say anything. So I'm really excited for her to have this opportunity to race tonight.
We've been hearing that. So we've been hearing that from the Brooks camp, from the Beast camp, that Allie is in really good shape. And she ran a time trial recently, correct?
She did, and it was a 600-meter time trial, so I don't know how indicative of 5K fitness it is. But she ran like 93-second 600, which as a distance runner, I'm super impressed with.
That's some speed.
Yeah.
That's some very good speed for a 5,000-meter runner.
Yeah, definitely.
And we see Bailey Myers also in there too, and she might be working with her teammate Winnie Colati right there behind her in 4th. And Winnie Colati had a very good result here in the Brickyard in December. She also ran a 10,000 meter in 31:10, and that was for 2nd place in that 10,000 meter race.
Yeah.
So the Brickyard, very conducive to 10K running.
Yeah,
And
I can see it now. These conditions out here are incredible.
Yeah, these are prime conditions. So we'll see how well the 5Ks go in the Brickyard here tonight. But Ailish McColgan here, 14:46, her personal best for 5,000 meters, and that was done in Doha in 2019. And we know that personal best in the 10K of 30:58, she sliced nearly 18 seconds off of her best time. So she could have a lot left here, and she's already jumping out, and there's a gap forming in the field.
It does look like the field is spreading out a little bit. I think there are multiple pacers. I see Emily Lipari doubling back from the 15 and possibly pacing as well. So I'm not sure if there's 2 paces going on here.
It looks like there might be 2 packs here. The pack in the back might be going for the Olympic standard of 15:10. And we know that a lot of these women are gunning for that standard here.
Oh, and it looks like Amanda Eccleston just stepped off the track.
So now it's all Ailish McColgan there at the front, charging into the darkness.
Yeah, and Winnie Colati right behind her.
And we've got some numbers here for you. So 15 flat, a number to reference, which is not the Olympic standard. 15:10 is the Olympic standard. But 15 flat is 72-second pace per quarter. In their first quarter here, it was a 73. Their second was a 71 flat. So they're right on 15 flat pace, and that's Ailish McColgan and Winnie Colati there.
And they're just over a K in, but looking pretty comfortable, I will say, although you definitely want to be feeling comfortable at that point in the race. If you're not feeling comfortable at 1K, it's not a good day.
Is there some self-talk that you would be giving yourself at this point in the race?
I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm trying to not even realize that I'm racing and just go and just kind of zone out and just stay as relaxed as possible. And then start keying in more later in the race.
Another member of this very deep and talented field that we have here is Kim Conley, the New Balance athlete. And she ran 31:40 for 10,000 meters here in the Brickyard 2 weeks ago. And that's coming off of a 5,000 meter run back in December here as well of 15:35. And in the 10,000 meter 2 weeks ago, stay with me here, she ran the same time. She ran 15:35 through 5K of that race and then continued on. So we know that she's training very well.
So she's trending in the right direction.
She's trending.
Yeah, Kim Conley, Actually, in my first ever track 5K, it was an indoor track 5K, she was in the race, and she ran, I think, 15:08. And I just remember being like so impressed. And then she made the Olympic team that year, so rightfully impressed. She is for real.
Kim Conley first came onto the scene in 2012, where she got that final spot in the 5,000 meters on Team USA, just edging out Julia Lucas. And she's been at the top of the game ever since on a U.S. level. But she's a Northern California woman, grew up in Santa Rosa. She actually went to the same high school as Sarah Hall, and they were teammates there. A UC Davis Aggie, too. Let's go Aggies.
Wow. Yeah. You know anything maybe about her parents or pets that she has? Any other information?
I don't know. I think she does have some dogs, yeah.
Okay.
We know that her mom is probably watching, and we would like to say hi.
Shout out.
Shout out to Kim Conley's mom.
You've done well.
You've raised a good woman, and she's going to have a good result tonight. I could feel it in the air. And it looks like Ailish McColgan and Winnie Colati are still out there, and Ailish has taken she's taken the brunt of this race here.
Yeah.
She's the one leading out front, and Colati is just sitting on her heels. The last couple, so we have the third lap that they went through was a 70-second lap, and then a 72-second lap.
Yeah, they're definitely getting after it here, but the chase pack is not really falling far behind. They are still going at a very good pace.
Absolutely. The chase pack seems to still be on or close to the Olympic standard pace. And Emily Lipari still at the front of that. Right behind Emily Lipari, you have Kellen Taylor, and Kellen Taylor is more of a marathoner. That's their bread and butter. But she also has some great results on the track too. She ran a 10,000 meter recently, right down here, and I'm finding this information at the moment.
I believe she ran the Olympic standard, right?
Yes, she did. On this track, she ran 31:15 back in December, and then in August she ran 15:11, actually just outside the Olympic standard for the 5K.
Okay, yeah.
Kellen Taylor, also widely known as the only marathoner on the planet whom Scott Fauble fears.
I mean, for good reason, right?
She's a tough individual.
I think the last marathon she ran, she PR'd in the half marathon on the way to her marathon finish. So that is a tough way to run a marathon, but man, she grinded it out.
And we see your teammate in there, tucked into the front part of that second pack.
Yeah, looking pretty comfortable, just chilling on the rail. Good position, I'd say.
Yes, and that looks to be, from the front there, a 73-second lap through 2,600 meters.
Nice. Yeah.
So 7:47 through 2,600 meters.
Yeah, I mean, I am interested that not more of the pack went with McColgan. I would kind of expected more of them to aim for that 15-minute pace, but there's still a lot of race left, so they could definitely drop the pace here.
It is a risky move if you're in a pack of two to jump out in the front like that when you know that the Sharks are circling behind you in that big pack.
Yeah, it's a very vulnerable position to put yourself in. It takes a lot of confidence in your fitness to take the lead that early.
And McColgan definitely feels confident coming into tonight off of that performance 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Colati looks the same too. She's got a nice position there on the heels of McColgan.
Yeah. It's nice she's kind of able to just ride that train. Like I said, I'm surprised more people aren't riding it. But yeah, I bet she has some confidence. She had a good second place finish last weekend in the 5K to Eleanor Purrier, who, American record holder in 2 events. So not the worst person to get second to.
Eleanor Purrier of the New Balance Boston group, and that team is doing great things.
Wayne's taking the lead now.
Wayne jumping out to the front, and that's off of a 74-second lap, so 9:02 through 3,000 meters for the two of them. And the pace slowed slightly, so Wayne jumps to the front, and McColgan now on Wayne's heels, and the pack is not too far behind them.
Yeah, McColgan seems to be responding as well, still sticking with her, but we'll see.
and they're floating around here. We'll get you a time as soon as they pass it. But now we could see Emily Sisson at the front of that second pack, and then your teammate, Ali Bukalski, too, right behind Sisson. So everybody in that second pack is working together, and they have the benefit of numbers to try and circle through, take the lead a little bit, and reel back this front duo.
They're definitely closing the gap here. Sisson is leading the charge, and Ali is right on her heels. So I'm going to have to say that I think that staying off the lead might have been the right call here, it looks like.
And the pack is coming right in there. Sisson has linked up and is coupled up with McColgan, and now Wayne Kaladi jumps out to the front, but Sisson and Bukalski are going right around Ailish McColgan.
Yeah, and then right behind them, also coming strong, are Kellen Taylor and Alicia Monson.
Are you going to be able to stay composed here when Ali is starting to make moves in this race?
I trust me, I'm trying to hold it together, but this is pretty exciting to see. I mean, I'm not surprised. We all knew that this was going to happen. We knew she was going to go off. I mean, I can't say she's gone off yet, but I mean, look at her. She looks so smooth.
The world is now able to see what has been cooking behind the scenes for so long.
Yeah.
And the last circuit covered in 73 seconds through 3,400 meters, and they're coming up on 3,800 meters shortly.
Almost
and now
4K.
The Sisson train keeps rolling with Bukalski on her heels. And they're going by Kaladi. And then Ailish McColgan, and then you see Alicia Monson of the On Athletics Club behind her.
Yeah.
And now Sisson at the front, and Kalani has hitched her wagon.
McColgan just stepped off the track.
Oh, and we will get an update to you on what that might have been.
Didn't look like she was hurt or anything. Might have just been an off night, I'm not sure.
All right. But now there's a trio up front. And Emily Sisson, she's got her foot on the gas, and now Bukalski in second, and then Kaladi behind her.
Yeah, I mean, this is no shade on you, but it is Buhalski, just for clarity.
Thank you, and please throw shade at me when necessary. Ali Buhalski. Apologies to all the Buhalskis out there and everyone who loves them.
Yes, which is many people. But Sisson is looking so strong, and I mean, I've seen her in a few track races. I raced a 10K against her once, and she did lap me, so lots of respect for her, and she is just leading this charge right now.
She has put her foot on the gas, and the last two laps have been 70 seconds, and this one coming up, we will get to you shortly. And that is a 69-second lap, so it went 70, 70, 69, 9. And it looks like Gwen Jorgensen is having a race tonight as well. She was swinging wide, and there you can see her in that second pack, and that's very good to see.
Yeah,
but it's still Sisson.
This is just an exciting race right now. You're right, I'm having a hard time keeping my composure.
So now we're in the final chapter of this 5K, and what are you thinking? What is the goal here?
I did see Ali run a 93-second 600, so I'm going to have to say I'm feeling good about her closing speed.
And it seems like Kaladi is trying to hold on to that front duo of Sisson and Buhalski.
Yeah, and I can see Ali's pain face coming out. She's definitely feeling it right now, but she's also just such a racer. Once she's in that atmosphere, she can really pull it out. So I'm excited for her right now in this race that she's having.
And Buhalski, a 15:22 personal best too. So
yeah,
she's en route.
That's going down tonight.
It's all going down tonight here at the Brickyard. And here's the bell lap with Sisson at the front, and she's stepping on the gas and cranking it down even further. Buhalski and Kaladi in tow. And that lap was a 69.8. 69.8 penultimate lap for Sisson.
Yeah, and going into it, it looks like all three of these ladies have a good chance of breaking 15 if they can close well.
That is a huge mark that you just said there. Something that we haven't seen in American distance running, this kind of depth.
Yeah.
But currently, American distance running is a tough place to be.
Oh yeah, it's very strong right now, and I think you've been seeing that in all of the results lately. So many Olympic standards getting hit, and it looks like we're about to see a few more tonight.
And we have 150 meters to go. They're rounding the curve. You can see the bricks on the inside, and your teammates are yelling at Buhalski to finish, but it's Sisson out in the front, And Sisson charging down the home stretch, and this will be Sisson's day, it looks like.
Yeah.
And we're getting the footage here. You can see the clock in the distance, but Bukowski, I'm sorry, she's holding her off.
Oh, I think she's going to break
And
it. She's
Sisson
gonna
has
break
got it,
15.
14:55, and then Bukowski 14:57. All three women under 15 minutes in this race.
That's huge. That is huge. I mean, that is a 25-second PR. I mean, come on.
25-second PR for Bukowski. Gwen Jorgensen, 15:08.
So we've got 5 women under the Olympic standard.
That's 5 women, ladies and gentlemen. Alicia Monson of Wisconsin, 15:07.
I mean, that was a huge race. I'm sorry. I'm just like, I'm so excited for Allie right now.
What are some words that you want to say to Allie Bukowski over this telecast?
So, I mean, like, I'm not surprised at all. Like, this is exactly what I thought she'd do, and it's just the start. I mean, that's just, she's scratching the surface, and it's only up from here.
And Sisson, a fantastic result for her as well. This group of 5. So that is a 15-second personal best for Emily Sisson, who took the win in that race. Many of these women taking personal bests tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a fast race overall. I mean, the top 8 under 15:20, that used to be under the Olympic standard, 4 years ago. So, I mean, it's just a great showing.
It's a new day. It's a new age in American distance running. And it's crowded at the top, ladies and gentlemen. There are a lot of great teams out there doing great things.
Yeah.
And Allie, thank you so much for joining us in the booth tonight. This was a pleasure having you here.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for having me.
And hey, come on back anytime. Just let me know. Tap me on the shoulder.
All right, yeah.
And anything you have to say. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Best of luck in training and good luck out there on the track too.
Thank you very much. And now I'll let your guys' favorite come back, Kyle. Welcome back.
Oh, come on. He's some of your favorites out there.
Good job, Allie. What'd I miss?
Oh, Kyle, did you see what just happened here?
Well, I saw a number of personal bests. I mean, Emily Sisson immediately shows that she's not just a marathoner and she's still got some track wheels. So that's going to be a really exciting storyline to keep an eye on moving forward.
Definitely. Do you know where her PR came from before tonight?
Where was it? No, she had an indoor PR 15:02. It wasn't the Long Island Mile. Her outdoor PR, but you're one of those.
Yeah.
Maybe the feel-good story might be Gwen Jorgensen, who had just narrowly missed that standard indoors at BU. She had run 15:10.9, I think, last year, and just a heartbreaking way to miss it. And so to see her bounce back after a couple of rough races to get the standard, what an awesome story.
Well, 2 weeks ago, we know that she had a difficult race here on this track, and then she was doing some soul searching.
She found it.
And she found it.
Yeah,
and
that was great.
That's amazing to see. But
and then Allie Bukowski, just
Bukowski, Kyle.
I'm sorry, I missed that one.
Please apologize to the Bukowski clan.
I apologize, please. Sub 15. What an announcement, and I think that there was a lot of talk from the Beast camp that she was fit, that she was ready to go, and she definitely validified all of that hype. So that was sweet.
Yeah, this is a very good opening for the 5,000 meter races here this evening. And if it has anything to say about the race that's coming up, the conditions are primed and perfect.
They warmed up the track. It is hot right now. I mean, Weenie Kaladi came off sub 15, a huge breakthrough race for her. I think that she ran with a fearlessness early in the race that showed that she can really make it to that next level beyond just the NCAA ranks. So really excited for her and that whole Under Armour Dark Sky team.
But now let's turn our attention to the men's race here, and this is the Linden ×2 men's 5,000 meter race. And we're going to give you a little sponsor read here too, and this is one so close to all of our hearts, for not just because Des Linden is one of our favorite runners, but also because we're big-time coffee lovers, aren't we, Kyle?
I am guilty of
Kyle,
enjoying the occasional cup of coffee.
Occasional, yeah, right, come on. Kyle, do you enjoy specialty coffee?
I do.
Well, this is specialty coffee brewed by Olympian and Boston Marathon winner Des Linden. Specialty coffee is the highest grade of coffee available. It is sourced from the finest Arabica beans and must adhere to strict standards at every stage of the bean's journey from planted seed to beautiful brewed cup. Kyle, We only source coffee from farmers who use sustainable and transparent methods to ensure that every bean is properly cared for so you can have the best tasting coffee imaginable. That's great coaching, Kyle, right there.
Yeah, I could use a hot cup of myself right now because it is prime 5K conditions out here and probably 54 degrees based off of my internal thermometer.
I think so.
And these guys are ready to go. You know, when we look at the start of the race, quickly, let's knock this off. The Olympic trials standard is 13:25, and the Olympic standard is 13:13.5. So we're looking at about mid-63s, and they are in very, very good hands to knock this one out. Because up front, we're going to be paced by 12:58 man Woody Kincaid and Kieran Tuntavate, who just ran 27:17. So they can really sit back, relax for 4K and know that they're going to be in a position to succeed.
They know they're in good hands, and everybody can just jump on the Red Lightning Express and just shut off their minds for the first 4K probably, and then let her rip in that last K.
Yeah, so we're looking at 2:38s. Just we'll call it out as we go because there's a chance though that we do see something a little bit faster because there's plenty of sub-13 talk. Now,
there is
something, Jeff, that I think is important for the viewers at home to know and understand is why I didn't put the little double asterisk on my cheat sheet next to Grant Fisher and Sean McGordy's name, because they both have a personal best of 13:11, yet they do not have the Olympic standard. Do you know why?
No, please tell me, Kyle.
Well, World Athletics had decided that amidst the pandemic that it was necessary to have a blackout period, essentially, where times would not count because they felt it was unfair to the ranking system because the opportunities for athletes were so, varying depending on what part of the world you lived in and what resources you did have to travel to races. And therefore, they ran 13:11, which are wonderful times, very fast, but they do have to break 13:13 again.
And we hear the whistle, and the men are on the line right now.
So I'm just going to run through the names real quick.
Please do.
So everyone at home knows who our main characters are in the show. And that's Grant Fisher of the Bowerman Track Club, Sean McGordy, Kirabel Arasa running for Hoka, Robert Brandt out of Georgetown and from Pasadena, so not too far from home.
Local boy.
Mark Scott from Bowerman and the UK lad. He has done very, very well this season.
The madman from across the water. He's on a tear.
We can talk more about him soon. Joe Klecker from On, Ali Hoare, another teammate who we saw run 3:32 at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. And so we know that he's fit. And does that 1,500 translate to the 5K? I'll tell you in 13 minutes. Bia Simbasa, and then Sydney Gidabude for a 10-man elite. So a stacked field, a good size, but nothing crazy. And they're immediately out, and Kieran is taking the top.
And you can see the Red Lightning Express here. The Bowerman Track Club pace train. They've honed their pace train so well in this 2020, crazy 2020 year. But yeah, you can see the red up front there. But an interesting story developing. The On Athletics Club there in the black, they look to steal the thunder from the Red Lightning Express tonight.
And they're out in 30 mid, which is perfect. You want to get the race started nice and early and allow everyone to find their spot on the rail so you're not bunched up running extra distance in the outside of lane 2. And for the most part, they've all fallen into place and they look good and they look ready to go and just ride this train all the way through 4K, and then we're going to race.
Just ride it to glory. And you see the two pacers up front, Kieran Tuntavate, who ran 27:17, as you said. He set 3 PRs in that race. He set a PR in the 5K, his first 5K, then the second 5K was faster, and then he set a PR in the 10K. And then Woody Kincaid in second here. He's the second rabbit. He ran 27:12 in that race, but most famous for being the king monster of the forest, running 12:58 in 2019.
And Mark Scott is the first actual racer in the field on them, and he came through in 62 low. So they are on pace, and Mark Scott, interesting because he doesn't need this race. He has the time. He ran 13:08 a year ago at Boston University before things got shut down, and so he has the standard. But I was sitting poolside with him actually earlier today after a little run I did, and I was asking him, why are you racing? And essentially the answer is when you're hot, you're hot, and he's going to take advantage of this fitness right now.
Retirement's been good to you, Kyle. You just sit by the pool a lot,
I was sipping margaritas by the pool, asking all the athletes about their races. But so behind him, you see Ollie Hoare from the On Athletic Club, and he's a guy who does have some experience in the 5K. I think we've always looked at him as more of a middle distance runner. He is a former NCAA champ at the distance in college while at Wisconsin, but he has a 13:28 personal best, and I understand is just a little bit faster than Joe Klecker, who I think many would probably highlight as the strength man in the group.
That's something that came as a surprise to me. Both ran 13:28.
As they come through 1K in about 2:35, so
under
very
prescribed
much,
time.
Yeah, under the Olympic standard pace, but pretty much perfect for 13 flat.
And it looks like they're clicking off 72s like clockwork here, 72 highs.
And the big man behind Ollie is definitely one to watch. That is Sean McGorty, the Bowerman Track Club athlete, formerly of Stanford. I've been told that he's the go-to guy right now in Bowerman. When there's a big rep on deck, he's the one who they push to the front and make the lead, and he's never scared to take the lead. But the word on the street is that they closed off a big workout in 4:04 just recently, and that was all Sean's doing.
That was all Sean's doing. I saw that, and I was wondering who made this happen. But yeah, it's good to hear that was big Sean McGorty who did that. And the man rabbited the 10 2 weeks ago and came through 8K in just under 22 minutes at the front. So he's the guy to go to when you need to take some big swings. But behind him we have his college teammate, Grant Fisher. Fun fact about Grant Fisher is, in addition to being a 3:36 guy at 1,500 meters, 7:37 over 3K, he's run 13:11 and 27:11. His mile PR is still 3:59 from high school. Wow.
And so I guess that's an indicator of just how talented he is, how good he is for a very, very long time. And if you like Grant Fisher, I told him I'd give this shout out, but he just came out with a new podcast called The Half Step Pod. He's doing it with a former teammate of his, Connor Lane, and a really good listen behind the scenes action of what it's like to be a professional runner.
So like you said, so they slowed, the last lap through there was a 64-second lap. So they're off the 62s right now, but maybe they'll get back on this time around.
About 4:12 through the mile, so still 63s.
And then we have, but like you said before, big Sean McGorty and Grant Fisher, they ran 13:11 last year, which didn't count towards the standards. But looking at the way they did that, they closed very quickly, and they closed in about 4:02 for the mile and 1:56 for the last 800 in that race. And talking to Jerry Schumacher afterwards, he said that he thought if they got out a little faster, they could be in 13:05 range.
Yeah, and that points to their ability to close in actual races. I think, because of the pandemic, we've seen Bowerman do many time trials. And a great thing about what we're seeing right now is that with the on guys in here and Bias and Bassa, they have to race tonight, and that closing speed is going to be necessary when we look to some of the bigger races later in the season, especially when the guys from the U.S. Army step onto the scene. You just saw Emmanuel Bohr run 13:05. Paul Chalimo's always running well, and so if they're going to want to make this team, you're going to have to close.
I mean, it's not a familiar thing for them to see when they see the Aussie Ollie Hoare up there mixing it up in their front pack, and then Joe Klecker right on their heels too. So there are some dangerous men with the Bowerman Track Club here in this front pack. And then it's good to see Sydney Gadabade, too, of the Tin Man Elite up there.
Yeah, so, Sydney, his personal best is 13:29. It's a few years old, but not too long ago in the LA area, December 2020, he ran a personal best of 28:15 for 10K. And he actually ran 13:37 last weekend down in Austin. Very, very humid. This is much better conditions and probably a much better opportunity because that race was won in 13:36, so he was in it very much so. And so, this is a great opportunity for the Tin Man athlete to get out here and show what he can do in a star-studded field. And, he was, went to high school in Orange, California. This is local, although he was raised in Tanzania and his family is from there. So, kind of a little local hometown.
We got the hometown flavor here.
Yeah, plenty of good athletes come out of California.
Oh, yeah. I'm not one of them, but I'm from here.
And so that last lap was another 63. And so they are on it. As we kind of said, Kieran has stepped off, and now 12:58 man, Woody Kincaid at the helm.
Wild Woody Kincaid up there in the front, and he's leading Mad Mark Scott. Mad Mark Scott, he's a gentleman off the track, a very polite man from Yorkshire, England. But when he gets on the track and you see that look in his eye, it just looks like he wants to fight you, and he's ready to throw down.
Mark has unbelievable range from 335, 1,500 meters to a 60 flat half in Antrim last year. And he has proven that since graduating from Tulsa with an NCAA title to his name, that he can do it all, and he can do it every way possible. He closes very, very hard. He's not scared to take the lead, and he's running with a sense of urgency tonight. Again, there's no reason for him to be the one to push the pace, but he wants that sub 13. And
that's 7:54 through 3,000 meters, and that was a 62-second lap there.
So they're starting to wind it up just a little bit. I think that we've seen this in the past, especially from the Bowerman group, that the most efficient way to run a really fast 5K is with a nice negative split. And you close in 56, and all of a sudden you make up a lot of seconds. And I think that Mark is just going to try to keep that in range, in which you're balancing yourself on that threshold between not having too much left, but finding yourself in a position where you're still hurting.
And we know that 7:48 is 13 flat pace through 3,000 meters, so they're 6 seconds off at the moment, but Mark Scott has been known to close in a fury here.
Yeah, and so, he is the British record holder for a road 5K and the European champion European record holder for the indoor 5K. He's unfortunately wasn't able to travel over to Poland to compete in the European Indoor Championships, but he does have an unbelievable opportunity tonight to prove himself.
And we see they're the Bowerman men up there. You have the Aussie Ollie Hoare and Mighty Joe Klecker up there too, and then behind them is Karubela Arasa and Bia Simbasa as well, hanging on to that front pack. And it looks like Woody is getting some distance here, even though I think he's the pacer.
Yeah, Woody is definitely the pacer, but, we know that he can go the whole way. Just a bit about Kirabel, he has a personal best of 13:17 and 27:32. The Hoka athlete's actually been training in Ethiopia and, was planning on coming back to the States a little bit earlier, but when the pandemic struck, he stayed down there and was able to be with his family. And, I think that he's really shown that he thrives in that environment.
And these boys look like they're laboring up front here, and Woody's pushing the pace, and the pack is bunching a little bit. It's the on guys, and then you have the Bowerman guys up there too.
And this gives Bia Simbasa the opportunity to reattach. He's coming off personal best in both the 1,500 and the 3K. He's been training up in Flagstaff with Stephen Haas and his group, and he's been one of Ed Cheserek's main training partners the last year or two, and that he's been putting in some wild workouts, and running fast behind the Bowerman squad is something that's not too foreign from him.
Bia Simbasa, a good result for him at the Texas qualifier. He was third in 13:27.
And now we see Woody Kincaid step off the track about 4K in, and it's up to Mark Scott. I will not be surprised here if he gets some help from either Grant Fisher or Sean McGorty.
Joe Klecker moving up on the outside of his teammate Ollie Hoare, and it's a pack of 5 separating themselves, but Karubel Arasa too, trying to reel back himself and Bia Simbasa.
It's a slow pass from Sean McGorty on the straightaway as he takes it with 800 meters to go.
He's the man they go to for the big swings, Big Sean McGorty. They're going to need some help from the big man here.
And they were just a hair over 11 flat with 800 meters to go, so I believe that Mark Scott closed that 10K in about 157, 158, so he's proven himself capable.
And it's a pack of 4. It seems like the Aussie Ollie Hoare has dropped back slightly, and Mighty Joe Klecker's still hanging on there.
Joe Klecker with, I would say, I would describe him almost as superhero-like proportions. He is a strong man training out of Boulder. He runs plenty of 100-plus miles a week, very, very fast, and he's comes from a long line of successful runners. Both of his parents were quite successful themselves, and I would say he's a guy that we've seen for a long time that we knew would be a good pro, and he's showing it right now with 500 meters left.
Barrel-chested and cut from a similar cloth to Ben True, I would say.
As they approach the bell, you see Grant Fisher come to the lead, and they're going to have to work hard here to get under, but they're about 12:07. But we have a race on our hands.
We have a race, and Grant Fisher has had some close second-place finishes here, and now he leads into this last lap, and Mark Scott is moving too. The two of them have separated each other, and Joe Klecker goes around Big Sean McGorty there.
Joe Klecker has proven himself to be a closer, but Grant Fisher and Mark Scott, similar to as what we saw just a couple of weeks ago in that 10K, have broken away from the field. Grant is not going to wait until the final 100 meters. He's moving early.
Grant seems to have learned something over these last couple of races, and he's trying to implement it now, and we'll see what happens with 150 meters to go. Mark Scott looks labored right now, but Grant Fisher looks very good entering the home stretch. The bricks on his left. He wants a result here in the Brickyard this evening. He's serving it up hot for the people in Portland coming in here to the finish line, and it's a 13:02.
A huge personal best breakthrough for him. Mark Scott with a personal best. Sean McGorty, Joe Klecker not far behind as the rest of the field trickles in. Biasimbasso looks like he's going to be able to nab one himself.
It's a great night here in the Brickyard, ladies and gentlemen.
We see Sydney and Robert Brandt closing out as well. Hopefully those guys snuck under, but Grant Fisher tonight, 13:02.5. Mark Scott, 13:05. McGorty, 13:06. Joe Klecker, 13:06. Kirabella Rasa with a personal best. Biasimbasso with a personal best. Ali Hoare with the best. Sydney Gidabude, a personal best. Robert Brandt, a personal best.
Everybody's got it. 5 men under the Olympic standard, 5 women under the Olympic standard tonight. Grant Fisher finally figures it out, hands Mad Mark Scott his first defeat of the season here in the Brickyard tonight.
Capitalizing on an unbelievable opportunity. Huge thanks to the USATF Foundation and Sound Running for putting on an event like this for the athletes tonight. We saw some great races. I hope everyone at home enjoyed them as much as I did.
Joe Klecker there on the ground getting a pat on the back from his coach, Dathan Ritzenheim, it looks like. It's a good man to have on your side. And I just got a text from Andrew Wheating, and he just said that Joe Klecker is the Burt Reynolds of track and field.
13:02 for Grant Fisher. He gets to finish off this winter with a win over Mark Scott. You know, Mark and Grant have really had an unbelievable winter on the outdoor circuit.
They have. This is exciting times here in the Brickyard, ladies and gentlemen. We're building something special here this evening, and thank you all for being a part of it, donating, adding to the prize purse. And right now, excluding the super chats, which Kyle has been monitoring all night, we're at $5,200 for the prize purse. And so we'll add the super chats in, and then we'll divvy that up amongst the winners of all the events this evening.
What an exciting night of track and field, especially when you consider some of the Bowerman athletes who are at home, like Mo Ahmed and Lopez Lamong and Josh Thompson. You know, just the talent is deep right now, and we're going to have plenty more races coming live this spring. And I think that these athletes are just getting started because we still got some time until Tokyo.
What a bench is that, Kyle? Look, like, you got guys like Mo Ahmed and Lopez Lamong sitting on the bench right now.
6 men of the year.
Yeah, that is deep.
Very
Meanwhile,
exciting.
you have guys running 13:02. So we're going to get a few interviews with the winners of these races shortly, and we're getting that set up here right now. But Kyle, do you have anything that you would like to ask me, talk about, anything you want to get off your chest before that happens?
Yeah, something I guess that I think about a lot is, you know, you look at a guy like Joe Klecker, who just ran 13:06, and it's almost like you don't get the full perspective of just how insanely good that is because of the field of guys that he's racing. You know, in boxing, you would have a few guys that you can beat up on early in the season, build that confidence, get that momentum going. But in track and field, we kind of just throw everyone into the ring together, have a WrestleMania style event, and just say, like, see who survives. And we get lost in this sometimes because Grant Fisher just ran out of his mind. But as I said, everyone in the field just ran a personal best.
Yeah, especially in this day and age where there aren't as many opportunities and everybody is getting into the same ring at the same time and they're duking it out there. And we saw it, as we see now, the final lap for Grant Fisher was a 55.3. So they threw down pretty hard on that last lap.
Making plenty of high school 4x4s with that one.
Yeah, that's a 156 final 800 meters too.
You know, I think that we'd be remiss not to at least have one mention of the shoes tonight. But I do truly believe that they are making a difference and they're helping people out, especially on the training side of things and their ability to be resilient and bounce back from these races. But more so, I truly do believe in the value of all of these athletes having a year of healthy running under their belt. You know, so much of what you do in training is the layers that you build upon each other. And when I asked Mark Scott, like, dude, what's going on this year? Like, what's happening? You're really, you can't miss. And he said, well, I've just been healthy this whole time. And when you have the opportunity to do that, you get lots of personal bests.
I think so. And the shoes probably do play a role, but I think like you mentioned before, and like I agree with, I'd like to see a return to racing first and foremost, and I think that might happen here. But hey, it is the man that makes the shoes, not the shoes that make the man, Kyle.
And
haven't you ever heard of cobblers?
That's what was so good about tonight's races, is especially in that men's 5K. That was a heated battle. We saw plenty of leads being exchanged, and it was exciting. And especially, you know, those guys as teammates, friendly rivalries. There's going to be a lot of trash talk between them on the bus ride home tonight. And so that's what it's about. It's about racing, and this is obviously a great meet. We saw lots of great performances, but it's kind of just the precursor for what is a very long and an exciting build-up to Tokyo.
And we know there's a lot of standard talk here tonight, and beforehand too. Everybody's gunning for certain standards, and that's necessary because they have to move on, and it's necessary to secure those standards and able to compete at the highest level. But we know that sometimes that's the veil that cloaks the truth of, hey, they just want to get out there and beat each other on the track too.
That's what it's about. That, you know, that's the medals are what is going to last a long time. Like that hardware, personal bests, you know, they get broken, but medals are forever.
Medals are forever. You want a good strong case to keep those in.
And so as we prepare to hopefully interview some of these athletes tonight, I thank the 6,000 people who are still hanging out in the chat. You know, the super chat has been popping off tonight. We saw some really big donations, and I'm going to say it again. I'm going to beat it into the ground. This grassroots movement that we're seeing in track and field, we are alive and well. The state of the sport is as healthy as I've seen it in a while.
And you know what? I love to see the community that's being built around it too, and everybody lifting each other up and supporting each other. And if somebody's doing a good thing out there, shout them out. Like let everybody know who's doing good in the sport and help each other. Raise all the boats.
Yeah, you know, that's something that I saw earlier in the day was the Trials of Miles guys giving the Sound Running guys a shout out. And that's the whole idea, again, behind the professional track series, is that a rising tide will lift all boats. That the more eyeballs we get on the athletes, the more money that's going to pour into the sport, allow people to compete longer into their careers because they have that financial support behind them, and the races are here stateside for them to do it.
And we know this is a sport that's loved by many people, as we can see so many people still watching this in empty track, and two dudes just talking back and forth to each other as we get these interviews set up.
I guess people listen to podcasts, so this isn't too different.
That's true. They're probably driving to work right now. Well, maybe somewhere, maybe in Australia. How's the Australia crowd doing out there?
You know, I think the Australian crowd is probably doing okay. They've had some great races down under. You know, you saw Stewie run 13:05. Ollie, you know, he didn't have the last lap tonight, but still came away with a personal best as a 3:32 guy. We missed Morgan McDonald tonight dearly. The man is still bouncing back from an ankle sprain, but he's someone who's going to be in that Australian conversation to make the Olympic team. And so something that we've seen a lot of, and I say this kind of just out of the bias of these are the athletes who've come to the U.S. to run in the NCAA system, and so we see a lot of them is the UK athletes and the Australian athletes are raising their game just as much as the U.S. athletes are right now, and it's cool to see. There's
a very cool running culture down under, I think, and I would like to get down there and experience that one day. But yeah, some good, great UK athletes here. I mean, Josh Kerr, with his win tonight, And I know people are going crazy in Scotland right now. They're probably still partying.
There's a reason why so many international athletes come to the United States, and it's the NCAA system creates racers and it creates opportunities. And we often joke that you have better access to facilities in college than you sometimes do as a professional, and it produces really, really strong athletes for the long run. And that's why many do come. My wife was one. She came thinking that she was just going to come to run, and she ended up sticking around, although I think that was more to do with the boy she met, not necessarily the running.
Oh, you're so modest, Kyle.
But, many of these athletes like Josh and Ollie and Mark stick around for a long time because they are surrounded with great resources and really great people to train with.
Yeah, and where's Joe Klecker from? He's not from this planet. He's come from somewhere else.
I think he's from Minnetonka. Is that a place?
I
in
think
Minnesota?
that's outside Pluto somewhere.
I just pulled that one out of nowhere.
I think he is. I think you're right. And if you haven't read, Liam Boylan Pett wrote a great article on the Klecker family
Shout
in
out
his
to
Lope
Lope
magazine.
Yeah, really cool long-form articles, give behind the scenes and stories that a lot of people maybe aren't familiar with. And so let's keep journalism alive.
Yeah, keep long-form journalism alive, support it. People like Liam, they're doing big things. And how about, let's get back to Emily Sisson here.
Yes, let's, for sure.
Like what
was that? What was that?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she just looked so powerful, and I think in the beginning, she let Eilish and Weenie kind of go a bit and was able to stay composed and reel them back in. And when she made a pass, she made it. Like, she didn't wait and catch up and think, let me regroup. Like, she was fully set on, I think she was probably running about 72s at the time, and she just started clicking them off, and she wasn't letting anyone get in her way.
Yeah, that took a lot of confidence to sit back in that second pack and just let what was ever going on in front of her happen. And then as soon as it was time to go, that seemed like a predetermined plan there to just start rolling 62s and then 60s, and then she was closing in 69s there.
Yeah, so,
70s.
I'm excited to see what Emily does in the 10K, which I think a lot of people would say you would expect to be her stronger event. So if she's coming out and running 14:55 right now, she's got great things ahead of her. Alicia Munson, I guess if we're talking about people who stuck around and after their time in the NCAA system for on, getting that Olympic standard tonight, just huge. I mean, she looked so strong from the get-go, really felt like she had a plan and was sticking to it.
Alicia Monson of Wisconsin. Great run this evening.
And then Gwen Jorgensen, I know we touched on, but that's just a real...
I was just going to say that again.
So...
Both Wisconsin Badgers.
Alicia is from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I messed that up.
My
notes, I confused. I was reading someone else.
Oh. Wow.
A great run for her. And, I think Dathan Ritzenhein is immediately stepping up and proving that he's a very good, capable coach. And I think sometimes it could be tough for elite athletes to step into that coaching role because Ritz, a guy like him, was so talented. And he obviously had to work very hard, especially through all the injuries. But sometimes translating that to other athletes, I guess he's dealing with superbly talented athletes, but sometimes it can be difficult to put yourself in someone else's shoes, especially at earlier points in their professional running career.
And we know that he was a highly sought-after individual to fill that coaching position for that group, and they got their man, and now he's beloved by the team, very respected, and I think we there are big things to come out of that group from the performances that we saw tonight. I'm very excited about.
I'm excited every time a new shoe company steps up and invests financially in the sport, creates these groups, because it not only gives people the chance to keep running in kind of like a college-like atmosphere, but it gives you a lot of opportunities to come out and engage with the fans in a new, exciting, different way. It's easier to build that brand. And I know that they're doing a lot of cool behind-the-scenes stuff right now that hopefully we'll see soon.
They are, and they're a brand that is from Switzerland, so they have fans all over the world. And we know that, especially tonight, the chalets were lit up by plasma TVs all over the hillsides out in Switzerland, watching the races this evening.
So a very, very exciting 5K. I'm excited to see where all these athletes kind of go next. The 1,500 athletes are probably, they've had a very full, long indoor season, some of them have raced upwards of 4 times already. Some of these 5K athletes, this is the first time we've actually seen them.
Yeah, this is a debut for a lot of them. And then these 800 folks too. These were smaller fields here, and the 800 isn't really going to get rolling until later in the spring here. But
it was a little bit chilly for an 800 tonight. I think it was perfect 5K weather, but low mid 50s is on the colder side. You want those muscles a little bit looser probably, and the track to be a little bit hotter on your feet. You want you've seen some good ones when you can fry an egg on a track, and so the 800 they're gonna have the benefit as things start to heat up weather-wise soon.
But great result. I feel like a good result for Drew Windle this evening. It's
yeah,
good to see
really,
him back there.
As we look to 2 of the big dogs in the earlier races, both Drew Windle and Matt Centrowitz just getting things started, putting times up on the board, something to build off of. 2 guys who I'm so confident will be there late in the year, especially Centro, running 340 tonight, I believe, and he did it with a lot of confidence. It was just the final 150 that he started to fade. So if you're counting Matt Centrowitz out, you just haven't been watching track and field here the last 10 plus years.
Yeah, you need to rethink what you're doing, I think, if you're counting out Matt Centrowitz. Never count out Matthew Centrowitz.
And so we've got plenty of athletes hopefully being scrambled together right now, getting ready for an interview.
I think they are. Yeah, they're being collected right now, and we'll line them up, and we're going to chat with them.
You're going to be able to watch all of these races, the pre-interviews and the post-interviews on the Professional Track Series YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Helps us build this machine that we've got going on behind the scenes.
Absolutely, and we know that Kyle has a diminutive Twitter following too, so please follow him as well. He's got some great content.
You don't have to do that. Follow the athletes that matter. But you see that we're packing up tonight. It seems like not too many fans were able to figure out where we are in the greater LA area tonight. Just great weather always here.
Great weather, yeah.
So
and
we'll be back.
Yeah, I mean, you love the pool side, obviously, so you'll be back, of course.
So, Jeff, what else do we have on deck here? What's the next project coming out of the Tracklandia camp? Anything new and exciting?
My goodness, Kyle, I thought you'd never ask, and I wish I had something to tell you. No, we've got a lot of great things going on with Tracklandia, and our main focus is rethinking kind of how we cover these events, and I think there's been a lot of great coverage of track and field outside the arena. Like a lot of great things. Citius Mag does a lot of really good things. Tempo Journal does a lot of really good things, and photography around the sport and stuff.
We have so many photographers, and the Instagrams are popping.
Yeah, there's an army of photographers at every meet, and it's great.
I think it attracts the athletes to come to the races when they know you're going to be at a race where we're going to have 15 photographers.
The photos are just so cool. It's probably it's done more for the sport than any other medium that I can think of. And so what our focus at Tracklandia is mostly is making the arena, inside the arena, come to life in that same way. Because I think when we can get people like you and have a more entertaining and engaging and compelling broadcast and be able to tell stories as the race is unfolding, that brings a lot to the sport.
I will not hesitate to read all tweets about this event, both good and bad, and the way that we covered it. I think that the feedback is important because every time we do it, we're going to keep getting better and better at it. And the important thing is that we have the eyeballs watching it and are interested. And right now, track and field's a little bit of a niche sport. And the thing that I really like about being able to communicate to the masses in this medium is the opportunity to speak directly to them and not necessarily have to dumb things down. Like we have an educated base. They know what a lap is. Mm-hmm. They know what a 62-second 400 is worth in a men's 5K, and we don't have to necessarily explain all the most basic elements of the sport. And so I really like doing the YouTube thing and hope that there's way more chances for us to keep doing it.
YouTube, great platform. I've heard is the second largest search engine on the planet.
Wow.
Yeah.
For track and field?
No, yeah, for track and field fans. So find us here. Oh, you can see Nick Willis there walking away with a beautiful looking Tracksmith bag.
I mean, Nick Willis is looking like a model out there with that Tracksmith gym bag and that outfit. And so, you know, just a veteran of the sport. Something that's been really cool just hanging around Nick here the last few years is how selfless he is in giving advice to younger athletes. I think of Hobbs Kessler and having, you know, the ability to pick Willis's ear constantly, but that's something that he's been doing for a really long time, and is a guy that, you know, many of these athletes, especially the younger ones, looked up to until they had to start racing him. And he is very, very willing always to provide some expert insight.
Somebody to research if you're looking to have a long career in the sport, and something that I like to focus on is the game within the race. And a lot of times people can get caught up in, these are all these athletes are lining up and we're just going to see who's the fastest. But no, there's a lot of different skill sets that come into play, and personalities and tactics and moves that are being made. And the goal is to get to the line. And if you look at the sport that way, it opens it up to many different kinds of people being able to be successful.
Yeah, and you know, I think in that spirit, you see these athletes and you read some of the workouts that they're doing in preparation, whether it's on Strava or they're sharing on their Instagram, and you see the range of things that people do to ultimately arrive at the same point. And I think it's very easy, especially in a long past year like we've had, to get really consumed by the training and become a little bit too obsessed with that, when in reality it's all about getting to 400 meters to go in an actual race with the freshness in the legs and the confidence in the mind to believe in your ability to outduke those guys who've been doing the same thing.
And your own unique ability to do that.
Exactly. Like, you have to play to your strength. And something that we see a lot of is that sometimes, you know, and now I'm just, I guess, speaking to some of the younger athletes on the chat, and sometimes it can be a little frustrating where you're running great workouts, but the races aren't necessarily unfolding the way that you kind of hope that they would. And it's just an important reminder to focus on the races. That's what really matters. And again, you know, guys that you see out here tonight, Joe Klecker and Grant Fisher's training couldn't have arrived at this point probably in a more different way.
Oh, very true.
But with 400 meters to go, there they are next to each other.
Man. Yeah, and as we continue to look at Nick Willis with that beautiful Tracksmith bag, and also RJ McNichols there with the camera of the Hunt fame. If you haven't seen The Hunt, I would recommend that as well. It's the film that we put together through Tracklandia, and RJ directed it, and it's on the Woody Kincaid's 1258 in the forest on the Nike campus, which is a special evening. But yeah, Nick Willis, if you want to know how to play the game and do it for a long time, you need to look into what Nick Willis has been up to for the past 20 years. And maybe talk a little bit to Ron Warhurst.
Yeah, that guy seems to know what he's doing, and I think it incorporates a lot of Michigans and hills. Harvard Hills, I believe they are called out there in Ann Arbor.
That's right.
Is that correct, Jeff?
Yeah, 250-meter steep hills. Ronnie loves the hills.
Yeah, as an athlete, I never did.
And donuts. Ronnie loves donuts too. Treat yourself to some donuts after a nice long run.
I've noticed that the LA area really loves their donuts.
They do. There's a donut shop, but like a good donut shop on all the corners.
Yeah. I mean, we have Dunkin' back home, but nothing like you guys have here in terms of independent, standalone donut shops.
They seem to be independent, locally owned family businesses that are donut shops, and I support all of them. I've never heard of Dunkin' Donuts.
So, Jeff, how long should our fans be expecting to sit around before we get an interview going?
Hey, you guys can wait around here as long as you want. But just know, if you want to click off now, we will have the interviews up on the channel for all time after this. So if there's somewhere that you need to be.
Should I just go grab someone?
Yeah, maybe. I think we're getting Nick.
Oh, we were getting Nick.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
We're setting up. There he is, Nick Willis stepping into the interview arena.
We got Nick Willis with the headset. Nick, can you hear us?
You're only asking Jeff if he wants In-N-Out Burger, not me.
Yeah, that's true. We need to. Yeah, I would love to have an In-N-Out Burger. Let's do it after this. Nick, how you feeling about tonight's race?
Feeling pretty good. If I get selected for the Olympics, like this race simulated how the prelims or the semifinals go. I've been struggling for the last couple of years in racing that hard, and I feel like I'm redlining it. I'm just wanting to beat it. Tonight, we were chilling for the first lap, and it was really similar to how the Fifth Avenue mile flat races go. You sort of take it easy for the first bit and then wind it up.
So we were talking about just how successful you've been for such a long period of time here in this sport. And do you have advice for the younger athletes watching this evening, just how to play the game for as long as you have?
Yeah, I'd just say find ways to enjoy it and not worry about racing all the time and being and you're doing good strides, racing is just the icing on the cake. So the other thing is injuries are inevitable. Don't rush back from them. Take your time. Although I've been going for 20 years, I've had 5 surgeries, 4 stress fractures, a bunch of other setbacks. So it's been a real bumpy road, and everyone else is going to probably have to face a lot of that stuff as well. So don't try and rush back. Take your time, get back to health, then go through the phases of training before you start setting goals for races again. Otherwise, you end up in this perpetual injury cycle.
Nice.
So, Nick, do you think, now I know you're turning 38 next month. Do you have 335 still in those legs, or you ran 337 at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, and it seems like, are you entering these races hoping for fast ones? I know that it was good practice tonight, but is there something that you now maybe prefer, whereas earlier in your career you really did like when races got out hot?
335, 334, they might be on the absolute max of what's possible. I'd have to have the perfect situation. I think what my goal is, as I age, is to always run under my age. 3 minutes plus your age, right? So if I'm 38, I've only got to run 337. Or when I'm 40, I got to run 339. So that's sort of the way I've been going since I was 31. I ran 330, so I want to try and keep that sort of rhythm going.
Is there any chance we ever see you jump back into 5Ks? I know that you've dabbled at different points in your career.
It's tempting when you watch from TV, but like when you're on the side of the track tonight and you see how much they're hurting, like the 5K sucks. Like you're hurting after a mile into the race. If you run the perfect 1500, it actually never hurts. Like the 1500 is the easiest event. I watched your race from Swarthmore the other day, Kyle.
Our race, Nick.
Yeah, well, I was pacing. But like the 800 hurts for like an hour after the race. The 5K hurts the whole way through the race. The marathon, oh my goodness. But the 1500, if you hit it right, it's just perfect and it doesn't hurt at all.
Nick, what has the balance been like now that you're working full time with Tracksmith, outside of just being a sponsored athlete? What's that like? How is that going? Has that been an adjustment?
Yeah, it's definitely been an adjustment. I spend a lot of time in my basement. That's where I've set up my office and spending a lot of time on the laptop. I think sometimes I get carried away and work too hard when I've got the freedom to prioritize my training and getting ready for races. That definitely was the case last week, and my legs were stiffer than anything, and I didn't get any massages on that. This week I backed off work a little bit more so I could take care of my body and prep for the race. But I really enjoy challenging myself and learning a lot more, and it's definitely a healthy distraction from always being focused on running it. It makes me enjoy races rather than feeling pressure for them. It's more like I get to go and do my hobby this weekend, right?
And we know that that you've been working with Coach Ron Warhurst for over 2 decades now. 2 decades?
Since 2002, so almost
20
2
years.
decades.
So what is he going to say about this race and moving forward? What are some Ronnie comments that you could throw at us?
What the hell were you doing in the back, Willis? You finished like a steam train. If you were up further, you would have finished second.
Nice. Well, yeah, thank you very much, Nick, and we appreciate you talking to us. And yeah, I would love to have a hamburger. We'll see when I can get out there with you.
All right, that sounds fun. Thanks, guys.
Good job, Nick.
You're invited as well, Kyle.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, that was Nick Willis, one of the elder statesmen of the sport. And now it looks like we have Sinclair Johnson coming in. And we have Sinclair Johnson here, the winner of the women's 1,500 meters of the Bowerman Track Club. Sinclair, how was that race out there tonight?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I feel like it was an opportunity to run fast tonight. The conditions were great. Always nice to have teammates in the race too. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
So Sinclair, you ran 4:05.91 tonight, just a little outside your personal best. Do we see another race opportunity coming up soon for you to hopefully dip under that? What's on the schedule?
That was actually my last race of the indoor season, I guess you could call it. So now we're back to training hard and hopefully racing maybe in April, May. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, gonna shut it down for right now and just get back to grinding it away.
And you and your teammate Elise Cranny separated through that last lap, and then you hung tight and then swung wide going through or onto that home stretch. Take us through that last little bit and what was going through your mind and when you found that you secured victory.
Yeah, I feel like going through that last lap, I could tell that Elise and I had dropped off or had gapped the rest of the field. And yeah, I was just trying to hang on to her and then wait until I feel like I'm really trying to work on having my last 100 be like my best 100. So just practicing that and waiting and being patient and yeah, just making my move when I feel like it's the last moment.
So Sinclair, the rumor is that you have some of the best foot speed now on the Bowerman Track Club. First off, is that true? And two, are we going to ever see you in some 800s now as a professional?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's true. I mean, like Shelby and Gabrielle are still right there too. But yeah, I hope to run some 800s later in this season. I feel like I could possibly run sub 2, so hopefully we'll get some opportunities to run a fast 800.
And as we look towards the trials and the build-up towards Tokyo, what do you see as kind of the key things that you need to do between now and then to be best prepared for it come the day that matters most?
Yeah, I feel like given last year not having a lot of races, especially as my first year as a pro, I feel like the biggest thing that I need to work on is having just race experience and learning tactics, especially since the 1500 is such a tactical race. So I feel like once I get that down, I feel like I'll have a good shot at making the Olympic team. And that's kind of been the whole goal this year is just to get in experience and practice racing.
All right. Well, we understand. We know that you have a big share of the prize purse this evening and that you have to get to buying all your teammates dinner. So we'll let you go. But congratulations on a great win here tonight, and we look forward to the future.
Thank you.
Best of luck, Sinclair.
Thank you.
All right, next up here, Seattle's finest, the man from the north. He took the men's 1,500 meter win. And I'm not sure what time it is in Scotland, but I'm sure people are up right now watching this. Somebody will hit the chat and come in with a time of in Edinburgh right now, I'm sure. All right, we've got the Scotsman here, Josh Kerr, winner of the men's 1,500 meters, the Beast men's 1,500 meters. Josh, the title of the men's race was the Beast 1,500 meters tonight. Did that mean that you had to win this?
Yeah, I think, we had a group of boys out there ready to race, so, someone had to go and take it. And, if Brooks are going to sponsor the event, you got to have a Brooks vest coming over the finish line first. So, yeah, I'm very happy I took the win tonight, yeah.
So, Josh, I don't know if you saw your splits tonight, but you went 58, 56, 55 for those last three quarters. That's kind of become a signature move, and I would argue extremely predictable, although it's been very difficult for people to defend against. At some point here, are we going to see some more versatility, or you're just going to keep grinding these fields out from about 1,200 meters to go?
Well, that's the thing is, I was able to, stare at my teammates, butt for like two laps. Got nice and distracted there, and then I just kind of went through the gears a little bit. But yeah, I think just stayed on the pacer and got to work. But yeah, it was just a nice little progression, I guess. But yeah, I think it was it's the name of the podcast, so you gotta stick with your guns.
Is that the Sit and Kick podcast featuring Josh Kerr and David Ribbich?
That's correct. I think a wonderful guest, Cal Merber, on there as well. So it's a great episode if you've got a bit of time on your hands.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to enter the banter bowl with you anymore.
Yeah, no, we have fun.
And this is a big win for Beast Nation. So a lot of good things happening with the group, and there's a lot of excitement around the group right now. What do you have to say to the fans out there about what's coming up this year for the Beasts?
We've been working hard for a while. We had some fantastic races put on by Portland Track last year, and we're looking for some opportunities again this year to go out and race on US soil as well as internationally. So we're working hard as a 1500 and 800 team, and hopefully we can get some more exciting performances. And I was hoping to put on a little bit quicker tonight, but it is what it is, and I'm happy with a win to start off the season.
And just, I guess one of the final questions I have is, who would you take in a UK versus USA 4x-mile?
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to be rude. I really don't. But I mean, we just wiped the floor with the US. I really believe that.
Wow.
I tell my teammates that most days. You've got four very good 1500 meter runners in the UK. The US, hopefully they turn up this year, but I would say we're a more exciting nation to watch. It's getting quite silent here, but I would say I back my Brits and I back my boys, so it would be an exciting race for sure.
Well, hopefully we could set that up pretty soon.
Yeah, I think that's beef, right? That's how beef starts.
Yeah, this is a beef right here.
Oh, this is the beef. Oh yeah. Tune in for the beef.
Josh, thanks a lot for joining us this evening, and congratulations on the win again. I understand that you have to treat all the guys to a round now.
Yes, I believe so. It was pretty silly for me to say that. I really hope the prize pot was high tonight. I don't know if people can still donate to that prize pot, but if you can, that would be great.
Or your Venmo directly.
Yes, my Venmo directly would be great. I got to get to be fair, I got to give a shout out to my parents who got up at like 3 a.m. and my brother that got up at 3 a.m. in the UK to watch this race. A big team care moment. So that was, I've got a big shout out for them.
Hello, Kerr family. Josh,
Yes.
Thank you again, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're coming up with the winner of the women's 800 meters, the Run Local women's 800 meters. And she's making a habit of winning her season openers. She's got 2 in a row now, 2020, 2021. All right, the Run Local Women's 800-meter champion. This is Nia Akins. Nia, how you feeling about the win tonight?
Feeling pretty good. Couldn't have asked for a better start to the season, so I'm excited about it.
So, Nia, you were one of the athletes who, kind of had their senior season robbed of them. How is that, and how is that emotionally, and how did you respond? How did you handle it the last year? You were able to join the Brooks Beast, and
Yeah.
it seems like the adjustment's going really well. How has that transition been?
I'd have to say it's definitely been a hard adjustment. I kind of had some gaps in training over the summer, and I think that showed, but Danny's fantastic. They have a great program, and I was kind of learning the ropes, and I was lucky to have an opportunity to race over the summer, get used to the kit, get used to the routine and everything. Now it was really nice to be at a meet and just know what to do and feel comfortable and everything. So I feel like I've grown in that respect. But I'm still learning. It's a steep growth curve or learning curve. I went to Penn. Yeah.
And the Beasts have a great culture, and you're a new addition to that. I've heard that they call you Baby Beast. Is that correct? Is that still a nickname?
I just call myself Baby Beast now. I think they've accepted that I've grown up a little bit, honestly. A little sad there were perks to being the Baby Beast, but I think hopefully I'm the Beast now. I'm just one of the beasts. So.
And so, Nia, you're not too far from home. Is it good to be back?
It really is, honestly. Albuquerque was great. Altitude was a lot of fun, but I do like sea level a lot more. So yeah, I think in that respect it's nice, and to be this close to home and to be able to just drive down, I'm really looking forward to. So yeah.
Yeah, 800-meter runners tend to like sea level a little more than the high stuff.
Yeah, I'm true to my stereotype.
And 2:03:17, it's a good start to the season here, and I know that you've got a lot more work going in a build up to the summer season. What are you looking to accomplish this year?
Yeah, that's definitely my fastest opener so far, so I'm pretty excited about that. Also to be able to step on the track and to kind of see where I fall with the training that we've done, especially after altitude. I'm really looking forward to more races potentially, hopefully with people that are running really, really fast right now. Olympic trials is going to be crazy. It's going to be so much fun. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm hoping I'm in the best possible shape and able to compete with those girls. So
awesome. And we heard from Josh Kerr that he's buying rounds for the guys tonight with a share of the prize purse. Are you going to help him out with that at all?
Guys?
Oh, for the women too. Well, this is on Josh. I don't know, but you'll have to take that up with him.
Yeah. I feel like he should share the love with the women's team. I feel
but
like
you're
that
not going to help out.
No, I'm the Baby Beast, so I don't even know if I'm allowed to help out. So we'll see.
Awesome. All right, well, thanks a lot, Nia, and we look forward to watching you outdoors this season. Great job.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
That's Nia just complimenting the crew on their wardrobe. And next up here, from the women's 5,000 meter race, we have the second place finisher. And this was one of our commentators' favorite people in the race. I believe this is a 25-second PR in this
One of the biggest
event.
personal bests of the evening, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and we're here with Allie Buchowski, ladies and gentlemen. Allie, you just cut, I don't know what percentage of the overall time that was, but it was a significant portion off of your 5,000 meter best. How are you feeling right now?
It feels pretty good. I mean, I went into the race just like a lot of the women were eyeing the standard, and that's what we came here to do. And to do that was just race people, and the time's going to come. when I saw the clock on the home stretch saying that I was probably going to run under 15, I was like, are you kidding me? That's pretty sweet. So it was a good race, and it's a huge PR. It's also over a minute faster than the last 5K I ran. So
You said yesterday to me that you were looking to run a minute faster than you did last time you jumped on the track. You're true to your word.
I did it. I think it was like 61 seconds.
So, Allie, what has happened here the last year that going into tonight tells you that you're ready to break 15 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, we spent most of the summer just cross-training, a bit injured, and then stepped on the line for the final friendly, and then didn't really shut it down a ton. We just kind of like rolled into the next training block, and being at altitude with the team and Alio, and we had Julian out there like helping us. I just saw the improvements in practice and like some of the time trials we had, and I knew that I could run that, but having it like show up at race day sometimes isn't always what happens, and so to have it come together is really cool.
And you were extremely competitive in that race too. Not only did you get a top-notch time, 14:57, but you were right in it and fighting it out and taking the lead too at some points in that race and pushing it. How did it feel to mix it up with some top competition like that?
Yeah, it was good. I kind of made a lucky move. I like moved around right when Sisson decided to move forward, and so I was like, all right, I guess we're doing this. Danny was telling me to like chill with like a mile to go, and I was like, I'm not chilling, Danny, we're going. We're doing this. And so I saw myself in the race, and then the couple girls that were out front like started coming back to us, and that just like adds even more excitement. And I mean, the race plan of just like racing women, that's like what I was trying to do and what I did. And running under 15 and running with those caliber of women is pretty like confidence building for the future of the season and going into the trials.
Well,
yeah, I guess, Allie, the big question is, where can we see you next? Do you have the outdoor season lined up at all? Will you be going for any other standards, or are you a 5K through it all, or what?
Yeah, well, so Danny gave me a day to think about it, but we were going to run the 15K road champs in Jacksonville in a couple weeks. But after a race like this, we like to shut it down a little bit and like absorb that and then go back into training. So we might pull out of that. But I think May 14th or something like that is like the next race happening with this like circuit. And so we'll come back out for that. And we've talked about, since they switched the like schedule of the trials, trying to get the 10K standard just to have like a backup event. And I've never gone a 10K on a track, so good opportunity to kind of like push the boundaries a little bit farther than a 5K.
Well, it sounds like a lot of good things ahead, and we look forward to seeing you back here. Maybe shut it down, take some downtime. You'll find Kyle by the pool if you wanna chill out there.
If you want to tell me any secret workouts that you're doing that are leading to so much success, find me poolside.
That's right.
Just do whatever Danny tells me to do.
All right, great job tonight, Allie, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks.
All right, that's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. We had a great time. We hope you did as well. Kyle, it was a blast sitting here with you in the booth.
Jeff, likewise. What an absolute pleasure to be with you through some unbelievable races tonight at an undisclosed location somewhere outside of the greater Los Angeles area.
Where there's a pool nearby.
But no, really good fun. I can't wait to go and see some of these comments that we had in a very active chat throughout the night. Tons of eyeballs on all of these races. People were excited about the sport of track and field, and it's just going to keep building until Tokyo.
It is, and and this was a really good thing too, and I hope we can do this again at some point in the future. Thanks a ton for being here and helping us out with this. Also,
let's go to In-N-Out.
Yeah, let's go to In-N-Out. We got to meet Nick Willis at In-N-Out. But thank you to Sound Running for hosting us, and Jesse Williams for putting on a superb meet. USATF Foundation, of course. All of the sponsors and groups who helped us out this evening. The athletes, viewers like you at home. Good night, everybody from the Brickyard. I usually say that we're hitting the Taco Bell drive-thru now, but sounds like we're going to In-N-Out.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon.